Jazz at the park or whatever, right?
Yeah, it works.
Nova Callan. I can also.
Yes.
Put the let's work out kinks in the PowerPoint if we have one.
All right.
Plus, it's got my info and cool stuff on it.
Okay.
Where's the clicker thing? Make sure
It's going to be on that table. It should be behind the
All right, cool. God, we're official.
Yeah, they're in the savannah. And the Indians right on the road.
Okay, we'll probably start in about 10 minutes, plus or minus 20 minutes.
Well, it's looking better, but we'll see.
Tell them to go fuck themselves. They should have been here.
All right. Hey man, I don't use this channel
As
anymore.
politely as possible, huh?
I don't use this channel anymore. I'll say whatever you want. They may have also heard that.
Whoops. You're recording this, right? So then we can upload it somewhere or something. Right?
Well, YouTube will save it on YouTube, like where it's at.
Oh, okay. And then I can send them a link or something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I can also.
Want to try that one?
I'll try it. Yeah. Also, what I can do is I'll set up like a different camera to record the presentations themselves, just in case. That's not good.
Well, like I said,
Sure. I'll get you some backup just in case.
Okay. But yeah, if it's going to upload anyways, we can send them a link and stuff.
Okay.
Like I said, I mean, we'll just see how this meeting goes. I don't know.
This is the end result without the sound.
I think the end result is just good. It was the solution that we found, where it's just going to come out through those, through this, through the projector, I think, or like where the video sound was playing before, just out of like I think it was coming out of the projector.
So what are we doing in terms of sound? What are we doing in terms of sound?
Well, will it play here, or can we put the mic onto the?
Oh, I thought okay.
Is that going to be the mic that I use? What do I do? Put it here?
I don't know. Normal speakers bring a collared shirt. Yeah. We might have to like.
Where should I put it? Please.
so the best thing to do for that is like you want to kind of stretch the shirt a little bit to make like a little hook, and then clip it on so it's right below your mouth.
Can I see that?
Okay.
You want it as close as possible.
Okay. Okay.
It's not about how it feels, it's about how it sounds.
Do you want to use Simon Cowell or something? I presume you want this, right?
You fucking, what are you?
I prefer Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay, yeah. Simon Cowell wears 5 shirts.
Is there anything to do?
So that.
Dude, this excites you, though. This is like exciting.
So that I put there because it sound when I had my headphones in, I was listening to the stream on YouTube. It sounded like it was picking up the room from the camera, so I hooked that in just so that it might sound better, but it's still going to pick up the room. That's going to come across no matter what if it's coming out of those speakers.
Did you want to put that near the speaker? Or
We
whatever?
could do that. Probably be
I
best.
mean, you could probably even try to patch into that. I don't know.
I don't have a hookup for that.
I mean, I got hookups. I mean, you know, I got the. I mean, what is this?
Well, I get it's USB and it's also a 5-point.
I don't know. Do you know how that thing works and how you can figure out to put audio into that or whatever it is you want to do? No, I'm saying for your camera through the live stream.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to think.
Where's the camera going to be for the live stream?
That's going to the whole room. I'm going to use this to record each presentation like individually, so it's going to look better that way. But overall, I think I'm just going to have it on this screen where it's just showing the presentation, and then I'll switch back and forth in between. So
do I need
if you want to be seen within the presentation, I can make that. I can make that
You
third
make
one.
that the default and just flash the slide from here and there because the slides are not that important.
Okay.
The camera should be on us, not necessarily the slides.
for the live stream? For the live stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. All these projectors will have the slides, though, right?
Yes.
So it's probably Simon Cowell. I'm not being prepared. I just want to make sure I know what to do.
It's all good.
So,
No, I was calling you Simon Cowell for the shirt.
so in terms of the sound, I don't believe we've come to the conclusion.
Yeah. 1 second. The way I put it is going to go over something.
What are you doing there?
This is for the camera. This is what.
Got it.
So I'm probably going to put it there because I don't know. I imagine all you guys mostly put all your text to the right.
No, don't have it there, bro. I got a lot of text.
Where would you want it?
I mean, dude, I got text on the left and the right.
No matter where I put it, it's going to cover something.
I don't think I should do that.
I'll do this for his and see how it goes, and then for yours,
I will literally destroy my presentation. Like I have like letters in there. I have everything, man.
Okay, I can make yours this is a different thing. Hold on.
Mine will just be the PowerPoint.
Yeah, like that's this third one. This one is just the presentation by itself. So, yeah, I got different things.
4 minutes and 42 seconds. 4 minutes and 42 seconds.
It's coming out of the fucking thing, right?
Jobs and struggling to make a
Like it's not coming out of this one.
Call him unsympathetic.
I'm not terribly sure.
But the defenders Nathan Morabito discussed
Well, we know some landlords are terms of their lease.
Call him a landlord that doesn't generally let tenants get.
struggling to make rent, but the
No,
defenders
this is a different thing.
Holding renters to the terms of.
I'm notoriously.
Oh, what's that? Okay. So, like, yeah,
You're gonna have my back on this, right?
I'm gonna try. You're good.
Okay, the live stream,
So you don't have to worry about that going off. It's one of just figuring some stuff out.
So, and then you can just put the camera on the slide. I don't care.
No, yeah, that's like
But the main aren't that information. It's not that big of a deal.
So yeah, we talked about it. I'm only gonna have slides on the live stream. I got it. Listen, I just want to get.
And then give me the okay. Just tell him to fuck off. He's just.
I train MMA.
Okay, we're good? You're gonna hold the mic, a drink, and the PowerPoint slide. Okie dokie. Grilled onion, Swiss cheese. You know what onions are good for? Immune system. Onions fight the corona. So does scotch. And you know how I know this? Because I haven't caught it yet. Yeah. I don't think everybody met the advisory for wearing your masks. I see a lot of fucking ugly people out there without masks. Lots of ugly people. And the one good-looking guy with the Darth Vader, not you. Darth Vader here, he's covered his face. And, probably can't breathe without it. Anyways, in case you're wondering, I'm Scott Patterson. I'm your host for the event. What's going on, Chad? How you doing? It's fucking loud. Why aren't you sitting next to a loud and white table? What's wrong with you? So anyways, the whole purpose of this meeting, all right, so normally I charge $20. I'm so glad that we have like all the cheapskates coming out tonight. Like Al Miller over here, right? What's up? I ran into him at the grocery store. I'm like, hey, what's up, Al? I'm like, hey, come check out the meeting. He's like, what's your meeting? It's $20. I'm like, I fucking paying $20 to come here and you talk. So, anyways, whatever. So this is what I say. No, I don't really make money on the meeting, and it's just like a marketing thing. No, I'm not supposed to say that. It's about me giving back to the real estate investing community, right? It's about giving back. I'm all about giving back. Okay, so that's what I do. It's for charity. I'm up here for charity. But no, in all seriousness, I will partner. I'll buy your wholesale deals. I'm always looking for short-term and long-term lenders, and I'll advise on deals. And yes, you'll call me up. No, actually, you know what? Nobody calls me up. I don't know. Maybe it's my personality. But you call me up, I give you advice. I give you pretty fucking good advice. Okay? Right now. Okay? But a lot of times it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out between you and me because, because I'm particular. But sometimes it will, and we'll make a lot of money. And then this is what gets the meeting going. Maybe I get I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 deals a year out of this meeting until this fucking year, and we're just gonna chalk it up to a loss, right? So that just added pressure for everybody here to bring me a deal because it sucked the last 4 months. Anyway, so that's why I do it, all right? And my ego. I have a big ego, and I just gotta feed it. Didn't I test this? We test everything but no, I did test it. Oh, look at this. Okay, here's my cleaners. They do a little bit of construction and house cleaning and whatever else, you know, good little workers. Sometimes you guys call them and they're out of your budget. And let me tell you something, if they're out of your budget, you got problems, you're paying too little and you're gonna end up with problems, okay? Yeah, because especially in cleaning, I don't know if you've ever cleaned before, but like there's differences in levels of cleaning, right? So if you want a good job, get a good job. Okay, take a photo, there you go. It's so bright and nice on these screens, so much better than the other ones. So bright. All right, everybody take a photo of me. Sorry, man. Oh, yes. Holy cow. So anyways, we have meeting, drink, sponsors tonight. Matt Jones, Brian Shannon, two of my favorite people tonight. Woo! They're definitely in the top 30 today. Top 30. Oh, I'm not supposed to let you guys talk a little bit. Okay, let me read this for you. There's the information. They're looking for all sorts of stuff. They're buying all sorts of areas, and they have tons of money. They say private money, but it's really like in their sofa cushions. Because they're look at them. Look at that. That t-shirt. It's really that thing. And they're looking, but they also need all these people: clean out, window contractor, roofing contractor, electric contractor, and painting contractor, and probably every other contractor after you are too cheap to pay for your living.
I'll take care of it.
You'll take care of the rest. Okay.
We can bring me one like a recommendation if you own a company that operates one of those needs that I have. Come get a free drink talk.
Tell them how great you are.
Decent at best.
Decent at best. Yeah, they're looking to get some exposure, so you should write that down, look at that, you know. They're obviously got plenty of money to buy you guys drinks. And so, yeah, this is the thing. We're going to have a little Q&A action. We're going to have a little participation here and there, and then you might get a little coupon. Or if you're just nice.
We should clarify, we only have a lot of money to buy drinks because we have been going to bars for the past 5 months. So we figured we share with all the guys.
So they're sharing. Matt Jones, Brian Shannon. Can everybody see that? Your screens, even the people in the cheap seats? Of course, the people in the cheap seats, they don't, you know, they're just starting out. Okay? Good. Well done. I think it's smart money, really, frankly. Who thinks it's smart money?
How much is it?
Who thinks it's smart money? Raise your hand. Who thinks it's smart money? Jeez. This is how it works. Everybody else is shy. He who hesitates. Who knows the answer? Jamie knows the answer. Huh? No, they're not. Well, you know, I mean, maybe they'll be able to like loan you money out of their sofa cushion, their seat, their like love seats. But no, they're generally looking for, you know, so they have access to money, or they have access to money and stuff like that. And so you would just bring them a deal and say, hey, we, you know, just like work together on it. You know what I mean? Okay. Okay, moving on. Thank you, guys. Yeah. Do you like the formatting of this slide? You sent me a lot of information. I had to put it all from like one slide. I'm like, John, Jason, it's a lot of pressure. Good job. They want everything. Just send them deals. After you send them to me, send them the secondary deals. It's okay because I'm picky. All right. Speaking of which, conveniently placed is that I vouch for nobody. You know, this business. You know, I don't know if you guys realize this, but it's kind of a rough business. You know. People like to fuck each other, yeah. Sometimes accidentally, sometimes on purpose, sometimes we don't even know, and sometimes we never get resolution or closure, and we're just wondering, like, why did I get screwed? I don't know. You just did. I don't know. You allowed yourself to, right? You know, this happens. And, you know, so if I have a good experience with people, which I generally do because, you know, I'm ready for the screw, right? So it doesn't mean that you're going to have a good experience with them, right? And so I don't want to hear it. When you say, oh, you said this guy was a good guy. Oh, you said this, or you said that. No, I didn't say shit. I just said I had a good experience, and people are people. You know what I mean? But, not everybody's friend is my friend is your friend, right? That's just the way it was. That's in business is the same way, right? So just because you went to a really nice school and there's a lot of nice people there, let me tell you something. Real estate doesn't work like that. We're out here to take your money, right? Because there's a lot of money on the table, and 50 grand, believe it or not, 30 grand, 20 grand, whatever they're going to screw you out of, changes people. And that's when you get to find out. So, and if you haven't learned that lesson yet, right? Who's been in real estate for 5 years and has not learned that lesson? Exactly. Huh? Yeah, divorces and property, that counts. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. Anyways, I vouch for nobody. I barely vouch for myself. There's a lot of vanilla meetings. Maybe that should front load this one in case somebody brings their daughter to the meeting. I mean, her role models were messed up a long time ago. Yeah, I can't help. For those that don't know what's going on, somebody's daughter's over there. Yeah. You know what? I got tired of going to boring meetings and stuff like that. We're all adults. We can have drinks. We can talk about things. We just kind of let it hang out, And that's where the good stuff hangs, right? That's where the good stuff. Otherwise everything's so sanitized and rosy, right? Okay, this is where you get to ask me stupid questions and I give you brilliant answers. So, potentially free drinks if I approve of the question. Yeah, and yes, you get that's the whole drink. That's the lubrication drink coupon thing. So I know that you've been all dying for the last 4 months, not going to a real meeting and having real questions and stuff like that. And you posted your questions on Facebook and you got terrible answers. So now is the time for you to ask your questions and get brilliant ones. Why? Because the guy in front of the room is telling you what the answer is. Oh God. Yeah. That's how this works. Okay, good.
So with the current situation in the market, what ways can investors still, how do you think
Okay, you're supposed to limit your question to under 20 words, and they only, Anyways, the question somewhere along the lines is, how do you find deals in this crisis, and something, 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 blah, 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 blah. And that's Tyler's presentation, so I don't want to ruin it for you. But I would say that the market is strong on the retail side, is my impression, and I think it will remain so for a while, for the foreseeable future, let's say a year, year and a half. And I think you just get your deals any other way. That's my short answer, but then you just ask Tyler the same question and get another drink. Why do I limit it to 1 and 1.5 years? Because my crystal ball has been fucked by this whole thing, right? And so I know that the foreseeable future is whatever, but I think there's some long-term consequences that we won't know for a while, and so so I can only So normally my crystal ball works 2, 3, 4 years in advance, right? But I think I need to have a little bit of humility, believe it or not, to think that I've got a year and a half vision right now. That was actually a very good question. Believe it or not. All right, another question. This guy, all the way back there. Holy shit, dude. Come on. He's thirsty. Would I become a real estate agent as an investor? Sure, why not? Well, that's the classic question, and usually the question revolves around: are you going to screw people or not? Right? And so, as a realtor, you have to disclose a lot more, and so you just got to be more crafty on how you disclose things. So, I think you gain more by being a realtor and investor than you lose. There's certain situations as you get into it, you may realize that maybe you don't gain more than you lose, but I think on average, the average person does gain more than they lose becoming a realtor and investor.
Are you a realtor?
This is a sore subject. So I'm on my third iteration of becoming a realtor. Whatever. I got a quota to meet. So I have gotten my license 3 times in a row, and I need to redo it again before I have to do it 4th time. I got my license back in like 2002 or whatever it was. And the first time that I got my license, it was just like an educational purposes, just like I wanted to learn. I think it's good for everyone. If you really want to do real estate or wholesaling full time, then you should just take the classes just to educate yourself, right? You know what I mean? If you should just take every class that you can to educate yourself, right? So that's what I did. So I went to all the realtor classes or whatever, right? And but I never got my license, which is kind of dumb now, obviously in retrospect. It gets dumber. But so that happened, right? Then I never did anything with it. Then it expired, right? And I got the license before you had the broker issues. You had the 3 30-hour things or whatever. So all I had to do was suffer for 2 years, and I was official. But then I'm like, okay, I lost it, or I didn't care. I'm like, oh, I want to become a realtor again. So then I took the realtor classes again, and then I took the 3 30-hour classes again, right? And then what did I do? Nothing. And then I let that expire, right? And then I just did it again last year, right? And I needed to renew. Thanks for reminding me. Because I don't use that, but I keep thinking I need to use it, but But that's a really stupid thing on my part. It's just easy. I just need to renew it. Thanks for asking. All right. 2 more questions.
I got one.
Oh shit.
What are you spending the rest of your advertising dollars?
Anybody else have another question?
Advertising dollars. Between now and November 3rd, what you spend your money on, and after the election, where you spend your money on?
Wait, what? Oh wait, what am I spending my marketing money on now?
What are you spending your marketing
And what am I spending my
dollars
money on, marketing money afterwards? Well, after the election, obviously I'm celebrating Trump's win. I'm fucking buying a shitload of scotch. Or I'm near suicidal and Biden wins and I'm buying a lot of scotch. Either way, doers is where my money's going after the election. This is my marketing money. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not really doing that much marketing. Not necessarily proud to say that, but I'm not really doing much marketing. Most of my stuff is just either networking stuff or just tracking vacancies and things. But if the question is, what would I spend marketing money if I was spending marketing money on? I would say it depends. I have no idea. I think everything works, but you have to do it. You have to be good at it. You know what I mean? You just can't mail and not be good at it. You can't just do text messaging and not be good at it. But I think really, one of the main reasons why I don't spend that much money on marketing right now is that I think it's such a saturated market, and I'm not going to outspend the next guy necessarily, and I'm not going to be super genius about it. So I feel like my expertise is best following up on a little spreadsheet that I have. But that's not necessarily. Not to say that it doesn't work, because I hate to say stuff doesn't work. I think everything works, but you have to be good at it and you have to be consistent with it. All right. Is that somewhat a satisfactory answer?
Yeah, don't spend money on marketing right now.
I think, you got to spend money on marketing, especially if you're starting out and stuff like that, because you're not going to have the network that we have necessarily, and whatever else. But you got whatever you do, just be consistent with it. But I think the money is in the finding properties and following up and just staying on the research of them and just giving an answer, yes or no, or something like that. Because I think people are inundated. Like if they have a mailing address that's mailable, if they have a phone number that's callable, if they have anything that's like somewhat easy to reach, then I think they're being reached 100 times. You know what I mean? But if they're hard to reach, you know, then I think that's where I like to spend my time. One more dumb question. I mean, I'll stand up here all night in awkward silence. I know that you want to. Oh, next up is Tyler. Tyler, just get your speech together. One more question. Even the chief seat's gonna ask.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey Scott, what's your future goal by the end of this year?
What's my goal by the end of the year? Be alive, survive this shit. Look at all you fuckers not wearing masks. Holy cow! I'm probably gonna die. Holy cow! What's going on? Where you been? Oh, thank you. People are taking responsibility. There's masks out there in case you doing, Audrey? You got new hair too going on, don't you? You got new hair going on too. Or that's just the COVID. That's the COVID hair. Oh, what's that? How do I handle my sight unseen offers? Well, you know what? That's a great question. And so sight unseen offers are pretty easy, actually. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but houses are basically all the same. Right? They have a roof, they have walls, they have a kitchen, they have a bathroom, they have a yard, they have all the same shit in there. And when you're buying to fix it up, guess what? Yeah, fix up everything. The worst thing when I go into a house, when I see a house, the last thing I want to see is a house that's halfway renovated, right? Because it was renovated 10 years ago. Let me tell you something, a 10-year-old kitchen is as good as a 40-year-old kitchen, right? Because it's all got to go. So, my offers are, so if I got a 1,500 square foot house, right? What am I gonna have to do? I'm gonna have to do everything. And it doesn't matter. So I already know when I walk into a house, I already know what my budget is, plus or minus 50 grand, okay? So I already know what my offers, right? Yeah, just to cover my bases, I know I'm gonna go over budget, right? And then Jamie's gonna be like, how did you go 30 grand over budget? I'm like, yes, I always go 30 grand over budget, right, Tyler? That's how it goes, right? So the houses are always the same. They always need work, right? And the skinny deals are the worst deals because you still have to do all the work. But you thought they didn't. But they always, the same thing. So generally I walk into the house, I don't even really change my offer for the most part. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna walk in there and maybe it has a new roof, right? Well, that's $3 grand. Okay. Well, so $3 grand roof, well, that'll go somewhere else. It'll go to the $3 grand plumbing issue that I didn't realize I had, or the $3 grand drainage issue, or the $3 grand this, or the $3 grand that, right? So it's always the same number, whether I see it or not. And yes, for Bertha, 200 grand. What'd you go, 220 on that house? What was that? What was it?
That would have been like 250.
No, 200. I already told you what the number was. I don't know why you changed it. Now, well, you know what though? But 250. The thing is though, on a $200,000 rehab, and it goes up to 250. That's the same thing. It really is. All right, Tyler, you ready?
Sure.
Why not?
Absolutely sure.
I was supposed to do his PowerPoint, but oops. Anyway, so Tyler's just going to talk. Does anybody know Tyler? Who does not know Tyler? Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Man, I didn't even think about your intro. Tyler McCracken. This guy. First off, you can look at this guy. Know that he's money. Look at that. That's a money stance. Money? No, not the shoes. Now, those are UFAs though, right? He has an online. If you need sandals or insoles, or foot pay, the insolestore.com. It's a little side business. 10,000 square. Yeah, it's a little side business. But anyways, this guy, what does he do? He's done rentals forever. He was a commercial credit, right? So he knows how to evaluate good risk and bad risk, and sometimes he has bad judgment. But he does a little hard money lending. He does rentals. 2003, yeah. Carl Spielvogel told me, Carl said, hey, you know, hard money bank things, just don't tell anybody. Now he's got so much money, you gotta tell everybody. Not that much. Not that much. He's got access to private money like these guys.
Divorce, new fiance.
Divorce, new fiance. Yeah, he's heard. This guy right here, he's heard.
Oh yeah.
I'm so glad I bought you a drink, because now I understand.
Thank you, Scott.
So he's going to talk to you about the economy stuff, because that's what he likes.
Right, and Scott lost my 20-page PowerPoint, so I'm just going to wing this a little bit and make it short, because I'm the 5-minute guy, and truthfully, we're here to see Michael Bowman, because he is good at what he does. So the topic was, what are we looking at in the pandemic, right? Something like that, you said? And the question you posed, having lived through this, and I'm a hard money lender, small family operation. I don't advertise. We don't have all the funds in the world like a lot of big players, and we're more relationship based, and typically we're re-lending the same money to the same guys. And as natural progression occurs and they work towards banks, usually they're trying to refer their best buddies, and we get those referrals type of thing. So I'm not up here to pitch our business. Having gone through this in 08, having survived 09, we were taking back properties, but we started lending again in 2010. I can tell you, this business, wholesaling, flipping, rehab to retail, new construction, and to a degree even the rental business, it's an inventory business. It's about inventory turn. So to say that, let's just think of it as like a convenience store. I've got shelves. I only can afford a 2,000 square foot space. Every location is a moneymaker. Anything that moves, like these today, I'm going to sell them. When you posted that question, Patterson can tell you I used to preach this back in 08, and everybody's looking at what they've got on their books, and I meet with my clients weekly and say, I think this property's worth this, and how you can move it, et cetera, et cetera. So today, that's a hot commodity, but maybe in a year, that's sitting on my convenience store shelf, and I can sell them for $5 a piece, and I pay 10 cents or whatever. All of a sudden, it's occupying space, and it's not moving. I got to move it down, mark it down, move my inventory out, and readjust to present market conditions, especially if you're doing this for a living. You know, if it's a side thing, perhaps you can hold. Depends on what your debt ratio is on it and what your cash flow and an overall situation is like. Had a PowerPoint thing. There's a few things about the pandemic I'll point out, and I know Mike's gonna drive it home probably at the end. Charlotte, North Carolina. So in May, the national U.S. unemployment level was 13.3. Charlotte metropolitan area was 13.2. In June, the U.S. unemployment level was 11.1, and Charlotte was 8.3. That's a big number you want to focus on. Everybody always asks me, what do you look at with the market? So I look at unemployment rates. I look at single family, multifamily constructions. Unfortunately, I couldn't pull up good current data for Charlotte and the US right now to give that to you, but track that. The other side of that is the vacancy rate. So one of the big headline grabbers we're all seeing is evictions are going to hit 30-40%. Mortgage delinquencies are going to be 30-40%. If anybody went through, at least in Charlotte, the market dropped out. We had a ripple in 07. The market dropped October 1st of 2008 when Wachovia went under. Not till 2010 did Charlotte hit a apartment vacancy rate of 11.1%. Now that was a pretty crappy economy we went through. I'm looking at that number versus the scare headlines of 30-40%. Now, if you were in real estate going through all that like I was, and I know a few others were, Patterson, it's almost like a shock effect. It was so scary, it was unbelievable, and I think 2010, at the end of it, we started to see the upcoming 11. It was just go busters again in Charlotte. But every time it was like, wow, is it 07 again? Is it going to fall any minute? For the first time ever tonight, Patterson only forecasted to 1.5 years. Typically, he's talking 3, 5, 7 years in the future. And I feel more optimistic than you, so that scares me. So maybe I'm wrong.
I feel good, but
household formations typically average over the 40 years in America. Now you need to look at Charlotte, so that's something to go look up. Averages 1 million a year. We've been hitting around 1.2 because we've been in a go-go time, and we're also catching up from everybody still living in the basement from the past. New housing multifamily permits have been peaking around 900,000 to 1 million this last year, but over the last 3 to 4, they've been running between about 6 to 900,000, and they're not keeping pace. So I'm almost looking at this as we may have 2 to 3 years, assuming we come out of this. We've got to start ramping up in the spring. If we go through the winter, the way we're, not to get political or anything, but the way I'm living in 2 cities. So I live in Charlotte, and I'm down in Savannah more now because they're a little more open to businesses and trusting their citizens with their constitutional rights. But if things keep shut down, it'll get worse the longer it goes. Right now, I really think it's a short-term blip. Obviously, there's going to be issues, but I think we can pound out of it. Now, there's a couple underlying issues. Is the $600 national weekly federal unemployment benefit going to exist? Will it be downsized? How far will it last? Those type of things. I don't have all the answers. Typically, if anybody knew me in 08, 09, I was pretty worried. Going into 2010, I could see the turn, but I've been looking over my shoulder forever. I missed the boat. I broke some of my rules in 09, 010. We bought some. I've got a bunch of rentals, and I bought some key places in 2010, but I didn't think we'd see the rebound we see today. So, for example, if anybody's investing in, Villa Heights, back in 06, 07, we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna have $500,000, $600,000 houses, and we were in retrospect dreaming back then. We were far along, too soon on the curve of the light rail, and then the train development that's going to be moved out between Brevard and North Tryon. But if you look at it today, it's just ramped up unbelievably. So I'm more optimistic, but I think the next 6 months will tell us where we're at. If we're where we're at going into January, at least in Charlotte, the banks have been holding off. They're at about 27% of our employment here. They're going to start doing layoffs. We're going to see that happen. Well, Wachovia's got the 3,000, but truthfully, they announced that in November. but it's occurring. But the corporations have been holding off to agree. The issue is the farther it goes, the longer it's going to be. And I don't have a magic wand, but in retrospect, whenever you make a mistake, so I'll leave it at this. I'm an old commercial credit guy, used to do unsecured factoring, 30, 60-day invoices. And the biggest thing I ever learned was when I took a credit loss, is I pull the file out, look at where my mistakes were. Did I judge the guy wrong? Was the cash flow wrong? Was the valuation wrong? Did something economically occur? And I learned from those mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes I missed was forgetting to be diligent in following all the tracking trends that I like to. And one of those, the two biggest components, I've always followed unemployment and job creation, specifically in Charlotte. We've been blessed for decades. Hopefully that continues. But the two I missed were household formation and new housing, whether it's multi or single creation and that demand. So as we stand today, one of the other figures I could spit out for June, MLS, Charlotte Metropolitan Region, there's 1.3 months of houses available. Even in the million plus homes, you'll hear me quote, typically $1 million can get hit hardest, condo townhomes can get hit hardest. Even in the million, the supply is almost down 10% year over year. You all probably know the average price home is up. Their numbers are between three and 6, depending on the price range. So there is opportunity, but the 4 things to watch for are job creation, unemployment, construction, how many new homes, multis being built, and household formation. Obviously, a recession will pull that 1.2 million household formation nationally down. But the deeper it goes, the farther it will go. So those are the things to watch. And what I often suggest in everything in life is don't always do all or nothing. Go somewhere middle down the road, stay conservative, make sure your valuations are in place, and cash flow is consistent with what you're doing. Questions? I don't have tickets.
You got tickets? Here's a charge again. You too.
All right. Yes.
2 questions, no tickets, but
You sure?
yeah, I'm sure. How bullish are you on funding spec builds? First question. Second question is, at what point do you start buying rentals? Do you think there's enough value or discount?
So that's
I know it's a big question, but
yeah. So 9% of our business is spec build, new housing. I typically work with guys that buy the land right, so they're making the money on the land, and they're also making the money on the build, and they know what they're doing. They're building the proper square footage, proper fit and finish for that neighborhood. Things always ebb and flow. So 2 years ago, Cotswold, typically that neighborhood can, in about 9 months, absorb 18 $1 million plus homes. In 2018, if you go back and pull up MLS data, roughly from February to about July of 18, about 30 $1 million homes hit that market. There was a huge drag down for that neighborhood. Some people lost money in there. If they held out too long, there were actually a few foreclosures, or in trying to get their price, either in finance costs or waiting too long as the price marched down. That would be a good study if you have MLS to look at Cotswold 2018. It's all about inventory plan, looking at every neighborhood. Now it's different today. When I've got a guy who's saying I'm building a $600,000 house, because there's so little supply, if you can come out with something in the so little supply, you almost, if it's in, say it's in, let's say Villa Heights, 600,000, just making up that number. But it, you know, most villas, new builds are around 6 to about 850. I say take a radius of about 1.5 miles of the whole town, because our buyers today are willing to look everywhere for the most part. You know, maybe 25% say they won't look in the west side, 25% say they won't look past Eastway down Central or something like that. But you gotta look macro and micro and see where the market's going as well. Rentals are tough. I started in the 90s with rentals. So most of my rentals I paid 50 grand or under in a unit, and wholesale. I don't understand. I guess, you know, you can get 30-year fixed financing and so low that you can juice the multiples, but I like a low cost per unit price. And at the same time, one of my rules starting out was I wanted to feel comfortable collecting the rent at 8 o'clock at night on a Friday type of thing. So I would contest, if you can do the drive, look at the outliers. Salisbury, Concord, Harrisburg area, maybe Gastonia, Monroe, and just try to keep your unit cost. But at the same time, also look at growth curves and try to identify neighborhoods that are going to grow at a greater appreciating rate. Because typically, if they're growing in price, they're also growing in rent. Typically, they correspond. Was that?
No, that was good. So I guess I'm curious. You don't think the market's going to drop enough where you say, hey, I'm going to slow down lending and start buying up inventory?
Good question. No. So, and I didn't do that in the 08, 09. I picked up 4 duplexes in 2010. Paid about roughly $69,000 to $70,000 for each of them in 2.8, 205. And I still have them today. So I'll look, but you know, there's 2 things to go on. There's some guys, if any on Facebook, if you know Dan Gosser, he's in like the Charlotte Real Estate Investor Group. He is a phenomenal landlord and has done very well. He doesn't live in Charlotte now, he travels a lot. But he was able to take money he'd made from his mortgage business, invest in rentals, and in 5 years have a cash flow that satisfied his needs to live on. For me, I've always preached rentals are retirement vehicles. So they're for you 20, 30 years down the road type of thing. Or they're assets to facilitate other things, maybe college for a child, maybe the next rehab that you're going to flip, that type of thing. So I lost your question, forgot it. But
No, you're good. You're not going to buy in a supposed correction.
No. So what I'm doing right now, most of the times as neighborhoods gentrify, single families don't make a whole lot of sense from a total ROI standpoint. The property tax drag. When property taxes go over 2 months for rent, the drag is really high. So I have made some moves, and opportunities are out there. Through a wholesaler, I think is in the back of the room, I sold a property to a builder where I 1031 the property into a triplex in 2019. In 2019, I had a rental in Bill Heights, and I've got a bunch over there. And it was another house, and this thing was going to need 30, 40 grand to make it at the time, about a 1,400 rental. Maybe today it's 16. I got a top price from the builder. So I sold that 1031 into a probate fourplex in Dilworth. That, in theory, was a wholesale, 450 price. 270 on a triplex in 28205. Now, the triplex needed work. The fourplex was fully rented and slowly rehabbing it. So the deal is learning. You make your money when you buy it, right? Obviously, you can't count on it until you exit. because otherwise it's just a piece of paper on a balance sheet, and you can't survive on that if you got to eat it. But you make your money by finding the real deals, and so that's what I would suggest is Scott and plenty of other guys, I'm sure, in here, and ladies, that are truly following, let's just say that 70% rule that people preach, where you want to buy it at 70 minus rehab costs, minus holding time costs, minus marketing costs. The deal is getting the deed. The cash, if you get the deed, you'll find the cash. If you buy it right, you're going to find the money all over. That's the trick.
Is there one other question that's burning up that you want to give a quick answer to?
But yes, I'll buy some. I'm really waiting. I think maybe we'll see some opportunity come towards the end of the year. Definitely in commercial, but that's a different animal. So if you do it, go real small. But I think that
Chad, one last question here.
So there was a sweet spot on new construction building in Charlotte area right now.
Oh, it's
taking into consideration interest rates, the lack of supply, the increased demand, the fact that a lot of Northerners are moving down here. And I assume you probably not only watch active, pending, sold comps, but also the amount of permits being pulled.
Right.
And that's how you determine when there's kind of an oversupply or a glut, like what happened in Cotswold in 2018.
And watching unemployment and new job creation.
If you were looking at speculating on new construction builds for, say, fall or spring, what would be the sweet spot on the build price or the disposition number?
That's a great question. Anything from about 200 to about 350 is literally flying. Obviously, with land costs, that's hard to do, or you're really forging into new front. I can't even think of the name of what I call them. Emerging markets is what I call it. For instance, Villa Heights. And going into the summer of 2008, a teardown peaked at about 130, 140. I think if you go into MLS as late as 14, it might be 13. Houses, there at least be 4 or 5 listed for about 40 to 55,000. So that was an emerging market at the time. So I always say emerging markets get hit the high end and the low end get hit the hardest. Because typically when times get tough, people get conservative. So they also get conservative in anything in their life. So today, hopefully you don't take this as a political or anything type of slant, but with the protests going on, or when there's a large gathering, that's an area I'll generally avoid. I'm just not going to drive. There's a protest on North Tryon, I'm just not driving down that street. You know what I mean? So we get, as a human, psychological factors get very conservative. So what happened back then was people at the time were looking more at like an Amity Gardens or an Oakhurst and taking a 3-1 ranch versus maybe a 3-2 rehab in Villa Heights at the time. And then obviously in the investor market dried up because of the cash. I'd say as a generalization, 350 to 750 is a sweet spot all day long. As long as that market justifies it, obviously the better neighborhood, the better the turn. And in a downturn, the better that price will hold. So I pulled back in 19 in the million market, and we've gone back into it, but we'll have product coming out next spring. And we just did foundations 2 weeks ago on something. I still think it's there. I really do. I could be wrong. So goes back to the inventory chart I was talking about. If the product doesn't move, the guys that survive move their product out. Even if they, I had a client back in 2008, and he probably had like 8 projects, and he goes, all I need is 50 grand profit on one of these. And I'm like, on this one, you need to lower it. This one maybe 50, this one you need to lower to 20, this one break even, and that one maybe you're going to make 10. move them because the finance costs eat you a lot. And, if things go down, the $1 million projects, I hope where we're partnered in, and as a lender, we're a partner, I hope my clients understand that we need to move these. Now, obviously, if they've been making payments, we can rationalize as a lender. It's a different story, but, it's about the long term as well. Because, were you here in 08 or in 09 or wherever you were, the real estate market, right? And so, we just came to a dead stop in October of 08, and the market was in free fall until March of 09. And at that point, it was weak. A lot of guys tried to hold on, and they got hurt. And typically, growing up as a child in the 80s and 70s, my parents were flippers. We'd move every year and buy a fixer and flip it. And we did a lot of the work. I always remember the stories, the builder, every 10-year cycle, they'd have their big mansion they just built a year and a half ago, and this market hit, and they were full-fledged into everything, and they even lost their house. But, 6 more years here, they had the next big house. So I believe in being conservative. I probably talked too long. So.
Yes, that's okay. It's a good stuff. Yeah, Tyler knows economics, markets. He's been through it all. His background was consumer credit, so that's his thing. All right, so we're going to do a 2-minute bio break, right? That means go take a pee if you need to for the normal people. But we don't want to discriminate around here, so we can say bio break. So you got to go.
Check your tapes.
Non-gender specific pee. We want to be open to everybody because we're inclusive. And by 2 minutes, I mean 2 minutes.
Hey man, how are you? Good to see you. I was hiding in the back. I'm paying Sunday, and I'm gonna probably head out Thursday at night. So, So it's 2 houses. I haven't marketed it. Yeah, I haven't marketed I don't know if he's anybody who's going to do it. I'm saying that you have to do it. The answer was I close it's like close both of them get cash. It's like one of those. Yeah, I mean, I'll say it's sad, but it's like I mean, I really like so many things. Over $9 so that's why
Right, so you're not happy. Right. Wow. So they did that. Right. So you set the bar. If you did chips on the bar, go to you, Jake. You want another here and reach over to give you and say you want another drink.
$20 seconds. 18. 12. 1. Ten, 9, 8, 10, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this. We gotta get this on the road. I know you're bored with me, bored with Tyler. You want the main course, the entree, the lobster, the bourbon, the property manager extraordinaire. Okay.
A little bit better, huh, brother?
Oh, I'm obligated now to sing this gay ass button. Okay. I wouldn't say anything, but Jamie's walking around with this gay button. Not that anything's wrong with being gay, right, Jamie? What? Homosexual? Is that the better word? I don't care. Whatever. I mean, what's the new word? I don't know what the new word is. I'm sorry. I'm too old. I don't know what the new word is. Anyways, he's got a ridiculous, ugly. How about ugly button? But see, nobody ever pays attention to me anyway, so who cares? So I can say all the offensive words I want to say. Almost as offensive as that shirt. That shirt right there is offensive. Well, yours too. I gotta look at his first, and then I saw your facial expression. I'm like, you don't have much room for your facial expression. What is that? Are you a vegan? Is that? You got like a vegan shirt, so you don't even have to say it verbally? Do you do CrossFit? Currently not doing CrossFit, but he is a vegan. Are you an atheist? No. Okay, so you're 1.5 out of the 3. You know, atheists, vegans, and CrossFit. You know, those are the 3 that I have to tell you within 30 seconds. Anyways, okay, everybody can shut up right now so I can say stuff important. We're going to speed through this next presentation. We're going to speed through it because you guys didn't come here to see me. Well, of course you came here to see me. You at least have to pretend like you came here to see me. But we're getting ready. We're like the fluffers. We're like the fluffers for Bowman. David, you can explain what a fluffer is to your daughter later. Does anybody not know what a fluffer is? Okay, so I'm a professional fluffer. Okay, moving on. I did actually have a New Year's resolution, and this is true. And everybody can be quiet before I get angry, because I What? Nobody wants to see me angry? I'm kind of disappointed. That was a trick question, by the way. Anyways, I did make a New Year's resolution to offend a little bit less in my meetings, so that I could potentially one day have a meeting that competed with the rest of them. But you know what? With this coronavirus, fuck you all. Fuck all y'all. Suck. You're offended. Shouldn't be here. I don't even know why you're here. Nobody told you better. Anyways, all right. Anyways, we're going to move on. I'm going to speed through this presentation, okay, for the most part. I would hope that you would know the basics. But the thing is about this presentation anyways, it's all about the Q&A, right? Yeah, so I'm just going to let me speed through it, and by me speeding through it, I mean I'm going to be long-winded but fast. So, subject 2 to coronavirus. I think we all know there's going to be like a foreclosure avalanche, right? There's got to be foreclosures, right? There's got to be. Yes. I don't know, maybe 3. As long as there's 3 of them, I'm good. 3 amigos. Yeah. As long as you say 3 amigos, that's fine. I can't say shit. I can't say anything about amigos. I can't say anything. I'm just gonna stop right there. Can't even say I like the Redskins. I don't even like the Redskins. I don't even know. I like the Dallas Cowboys back in the day, and they used to kill the Redskins. Oh, well, I can't even say that. Anyways, moving on. Subject 2, the Corona foreclosure avalanche. Yeah. Do you even foreclosure, bro? Look at that guy. That guy right there. Oh my God, I love recycling photos. Yeah, do you even foreclosure, bro? Like, here's the thing. When you're in real estate, right, everybody is like, oh, you do foreclosures? I'm like, no, I don't do foreclosures. I don't know. I do foreclosures, but I don't do foreclosures. And the only thing about foreclosures is that there's so many different types of foreclosures, right? Like, what does that mean? I don't even know what foreclosures mean. Like foreclosures, like people that didn't make their payment, people that are foreclosure auction, people that are pre-foreclosures, post-foreclosures, REOs. There's just, it's just a big mess. Who cares? We're only covering one kind of foreclosure. And it's not that guy. That's obvious. I don't know if you guys can tell, but that's Photoshop. I know I'm skilled. It's clearly Photoshop. Types of foreclosure categories. There's pre-foreclosures, foreclosure auctions, 10-day upset period, blah, 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 right? That's foreclosures, right? Because everybody's like, oh, do you do foreclosures? I'm like, no, you know what that means. Because there's 8 categories. And you can make money in all those categories. The only ones that we care about, though, for this presentation are the pre-foreclosures and the pre-foreclosures. Pre-foreclosures meaning basically they're going to foreclosure, but they haven't been filed on. And pre-foreclosures meaning that they've been filed on and they're getting ready to have their court date and or auction, right? Whoa, what the hell happened there? Okay. Oh, I'm supposed to stand over here, right, camera guy? A little bit. Okay. So I can stare with my sexy stare into the camera for the live feed. They're probably not wearing any clothes in the live feed, so they can really get the full experience. Anyways, how do we get here? Friendly future foreclosure buys a house. He signs a promissory note promising to pay the note, promising to make the payments, right? The bank laughs and says, I'll need your firstborn and deed of trust. The bank sells the mortgage to some other jerk across the sea and says, good luck with this one, you'll need it. And then fucking pandemic. We all die. Or most of us die. Or at least the guy that was going to pay is going to die. Or somebody dies. I don't know. Somebody's going to die, we're going to panic, something's happens, I don't know. I don't want to make fun of the dead, but frankly, if we can't make fun of the dead, who else can we make fun of? I mean, what are they going to do? Complain? Too soon? Too soon? By the way, nobody here, nobody fucking pull a Herman on me, okay? Don't fucking pull a Herman. That's too soon. A little too soon. It's plenty inside. Herman McCain, I don't know. Yeah, the guy that died, he went to a Trump rally, and yeah, that guy. Don't do that. If you do that, I'm gonna tear your ticket up, you never hear, I'm gonna delete you from the internet, and I absolve all responsibility, and you probably deserve it anyways because you have bad karma. Okay. It's gonna be hilarious when somebody dies here. Don't look at me like that, Evo. You have no right with that name. All right. Insert slide on COVID foreclosure avalanche. This is where I'm supposed to do a research and they're going to make these predictions and stuff. I don't know what the predictions are. That's going to be a lot, right? Right. I mean, it's going to be some foreclosures. I don't know. There's going to be at least 3. I'm claiming responsibility for 3 to 30 million. Okay? Somewhere in between, I'm right. We know there's going to be an avalanche. It can be a little avalanche, a small avalanche. I don't know. There's going to be problems, right? That's all I'm predicting. When? When is the avalanche? Soon, or years in the making, or I don't know. But here's the thing that people don't really think about. What's going to happen though is there's going to be a strong encouragement for modifications to happen. Everybody know what modifications are? It's where you're behind on your mortgage and you're like, I can't pay my mortgage, and the bank modifies your loan so that you can pay your mortgage, right? And they lower okay, first off, we got interest rates in the 2s right now, right? Do you know what they do for modifications? Even lower. I'm saying when mortgage rates were like 4%, they're giving away modifications at 1%. So what will happen is that people will get behind and they still have a job or whatever the case may be. Maybe they're just shitty landlords and they didn't hire Bowman or whatever the case may be. And they get behind on their mortgage, but they still have a job, right? So they're going to apply for what modification because they were. What's another word for a female genitalia that's politically correct? A Pikachu. They were Pikachus, and they let the tennis slide, and so now, but they have good jobs, right? So the bank's going to modify their loan, and when they modify their loan from 4 or 5%, it's going to go down to 1 or 2%, right? But they still suck at life. Right? And so they might still end up in foreclosure. And so it's possible that those modifications will come up through foreclosure or they just might be conservative people and they just want to get rid of the responsibility. So anyways, what I'm saying is modifications will be a big deal over the next couple of years because the government will encourage banks to work out the loans with everybody that's behind foreclosures and to modify the loans. And when they modify the loans, we're talking sub-twos, I promise you. Because I've already seen sub-twos as it is in the 4% environment. So in the 2% environment, it's going to be like, and I've seen 0% loans, modifications. So modifications will extend the pain, right? You know, and so it'll go for years, right? So we're talking 2 to 3 years, 4 years, or whatever else like that. Not only that, but like 5 years from now, you'll still be able to get like a modified loan for pre-foreclosure with a ridiculous interest rate. Something to look forward to. Just saying, awesome interest rates. Pre-foreclosures. So this is the definition, right? Bank filed to set a hearing. Hearing will determine whether or not they have the right to force. Hearing can be postponed. If Freddie shows, they will most likely postpone. If you're in foreclosure, or if you know somebody's in foreclosure, and you need a little bit of more time to get the deal done, all they have to do is show up and say, I need more time. And the liberal BS judge will be like, you get more time. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. That's the way the system works. They get another kick the can down a month or 2. Postponements can go on forever. They keep showing up. They keep coming up with sad excuses. You know, kind of like me with my homework back in the day. You know. And even if the bank wins, the auction can be scheduled whenever, right? So even when they go, sometimes when they file a foreclosure, they'll schedule the auction at the same time, but a lot of times they'll schedule the auction at the court date. But even though the auction is scheduled, you can still postpone that auction, right? So the bank just wants to be paid at the end of the day. So as long as they have a good reason or if they have a good, like some sort of thing with it, you can always extend the auction, right? Does that make sense? And then, yeah. Moving on. What is a subject to, right? I'm supposed to answer that question. Damn, I thought the next slide did that. Subject to is just merely, you're just taking over the payments, right? So you're just taking over the payments of the mortgage. Does that make sense? Everybody get that? Kind of? Enough to not, you're asking? Good. All right, is it illegal? Is it legal or illegal? Yes, it's completely illegal, right? All you're doing is violating the business contracts, right? So there's a due on sale clause, right? The due on sale clause says, in almost every mortgage nowadays, it says, I can't read very well, but you know, that's what it says. It says that if you, ownership and the mortgage are 2 separate things. I can own something and not owe the money, right? So if I owe the money on a house, it doesn't mean that I own the house. It's 2 separate things. So I can transfer the ownership of it, and the bank puts on their due on sale clause. And the due on sale clause says that the bank has the right to call it due. They may be called due. May be, right? But if you read the rest of your loan documents, which I'm sure you all read the loan documents that you sign, all 5,000 pages of them, did you know that it also says that they can call the loan due for what? Anyone? Bueller?
Anything.
Fucking anything. For having peeling paint on the outside of the house, for not properly maintaining your house, they can call the loan due. Now, does everybody run around all nervous about the bank calling a loan due because you didn't paint your house last year? Anyone? Seriously. Because you're all going to be nervous. You're all going to hit me questions with, but the bank might call it due. And I'm going to say, I could find 10 different reasons, 10 different clauses why the bank has the right to call your loan due today at your own personal residence. Look, what are banks? Banks are like lawyers, right? Lawyers, banks, they're all the same type of thing, right? It's all the small print, right? They pay people millions of dollars to figure out how to fuck you if they want to. They don't really want to, right? They just want their money. But they want to figure out all the small print and ways to screw you. This is one of the ways. No. Do they want to call it due? No. They just want their money. Do they want to call it due because of peeling paint? No. Do they want to call it due because of the hole in your window screen? No. Do they have the right to? Yes. Get over it. When and why? When would you want to do a subject to? Scott, you don't understand. I got all this money, like these 2 guys, in my seat cushions. They're just I just got this money. I need a principal. Why would I want to do something stupid? Okay, well, you can do it for equity deals or financial deals, right? There might be good equity. I've done deals where the people are just like amicable. They were scared of making the payments. There might have been good equity in the deal, but they didn't care about anything except for their house being paid. So if you can convince them that you're going to pay their payment, then I don't need to take them out. You can do it for flipping houses. If you have the money to fix up the house while you take over the payments, then why get a hard money loan? Sorry, Tyler.
It happens.
It happens. You can buy it and then refinance it, right? So when you buy a house, what do they do? What do the banks say? I love this terms. We'll give you 80% of the money of what the house is worth, or 80% of what?
Appraised value.
Which page?
That's the appraised value and what it's worth.
Golf.
Are you speaking next? Yeah. Appraised value. All right. 80% of the appraised value or what it's worth, or the contract, right? Yeah. How does that ever make sense? I never got over that, right? But if you refinance it after X amount of time of ownership, sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a day, now it's probably around 6 months, then you can get 80% of the value, right? So if you buy a $100,000 house for $60,000 and you go to a bank and you apply for a loan today, they're going to give you whatever 8%, $48,000, right? But if you wait a few months or 6 months or whatever it is, then they'll give you 80 grand. And if you bought it for 60, you got 20 grand, right? Minus 5 grand in low fees, whatever, right? So you can actually make money when you buy it, right? Does that make sense? Otherwise, you got to put 12 grand down to buy the damn property, even though you've got like a whole bunch of equity, right? So you could do so I used to do this back in the day. I only had to own the house for 30 days. So I would do owner financing for 60 days, right? So you buy it subject to, not only that, but what's the normal closing? Like 30 days, right? So you just tell the person, hey, sign over the property to me, I'll refinance in 30 days. And then when I refinance, I get money and the house. It was a beautiful thing. Does that make sense? Does everybody appreciate the genius of that, or is it just me? Because I appreciate my own genius sometimes. You know what I'm talking about now. Not enough to pay $20, but. Or long-term rentals, right? Why banks don't call them new? Because they just want your money. Just like anything else. They don't want to call them due because of lack of page or anything else. They just want your money. Not only that, but the thing is, though, is that when this due and sell clause went sunsetted in '87 or whatever it was, I don't know, back in the olden days, they used to have these things that were like loans, where the person loaning you the money was also responsible for you paying it back. Sometime, I don't know, in the 2000s or late 90s, a thing called securitization comes along. And now they just take like $100 million worth of loans and they sell it to some guy in Saudi Arabia. They're like, hey, good luck. There's a fucking $100 million loans. They said they're going to pay. Have fun. Right? So now it's all a securitized investment, right? Does that make sense? It's not Joe Banker, like Joe Banker down at Fifth Third or wherever they are. They're not like, he's like sweating. He's like, oh my God, Scott owes me money. Who the hell gave Scott the money? This guy's not going to pay. No, it's some guy like somewhere else. It's like Denmark's school systems loan, right? Does everybody know how that works? That's how it works, okay? And here's the thing. So securitization is a beautiful thing with subject twos because the value of the asset is all about the income stream, okay? So they buy $100 million of loans and then it brings in whatever it does every month, right? And so that's a financial instrument. That financial instrument determines whatever they blah, 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 right? Here's the thing. If they say, oh, well, you transferred the deed or you didn't paint the house, so we're going to foreclose on you. So then that screws up their whole numbers because now they've got what they're saying is this is a bad loan, right? It's not a bad loan because you didn't pay. It's a bad loan because they want to force some BS thing in their contract, right? So when they call that a bad loan, that means that it messes up their numbers. Now their spreadsheet has to allocate that this is a bad loan. Does that make sense? Am I losing anybody? You guys need to read the Financial Times. I am. It's okay. I'm going to lose everybody else. Speeding through it. Anyways, so no, it does not make sense for the bank to call it due because it's not even the bank, it's some guy in Saudi Arabia. He's got $100 million within these things. If he says that your little piddly $100,000 loan is in default, right, that impacts his spreadsheet you would not believe, right? So that spreadsheet gets messed up because he's calling your good loan bad. Okay? Just trust me on that. It makes no financial system for them to screw up a good loan. Good loan means that you pay it. Always close with an attorney. Don't be stupid. Cover your ass. Here's the thing. Look, these things are hairy, right? They're legal. They're all of this stuff. You're not going to get called or whatever. You know what? But the thing is, though, is that it's not about what's legal. It's not about anything. It's about what can somebody cry about, right? And so if they can cry, you got problems. And so you got to, on these types of transactions, you're going to have to cover. You just close with an attorney. Just do it. What's going on? I'm being sad. Is it the Russians? Oh no, not the Russians. The Russian, Chinese. The fucking Chinese. Fucking TikTok. TikTok. Who's got TikTok? Somebody's got TikTok going. You what? That's what happens when you bring it up. It's all over TikTok. What's the new TikTok dance? You like my dance? Anyways, be careful of land trusts. Here's the thing about land trusts, right? Land trusts. Why do people use land trusts? Somebody answer. Huh? Reduce risk? No, increases the risk. Be careful of land trusts because everybody asshole out there has been selling these land trusts as a way to hide who actually owns the property. So everybody else is teaching subject twos, and they're telling you to do the land trust because nobody knows who owns it, right? So what happens when the state attorney looks at a transaction that you did and you've got a land trust? The state attorney's like, this guy's a scammer, and he's doing it in a land trust. Well, that's next. Anyways, be careful of land trusts. If you know land trusts and you've been to all the seminars and you understand them and all this other stuff, and you have some help behind you, that's fine. But if you're some new guy that's just going to put a land trust in there because that's the way you were taught to be subject to, I'm telling you, it's a red flag for the state attorney to say, fuck you, and I'm coming after you. And when the state attorney comes after you, it's not about what's legal and what's not legal and everything else like that. It has to do with, this guy's got a bunch of paid attorneys, and you're going to have to pay your attorney $20,000 to start. Has anybody ever been in a litigation or whatever? Those litigation attorneys, man, they make the money. People that sue, you've sued people, right? How much does it cost to start? Just to sue somebody or to defend yourself from fucking some bullshit. $5,000 just to start. Just $5,000 just to look at your file. And he's going to be hitting you up for another $5,000 in about 2 weeks after he read your file. He's like, yeah, why don't you just give me $5,000? Have you ever left a voicemail for your attorney when you're sued? No. Here's the thing. All right, so early, yes. I never met. I was in assault. I know a friend that may have been sued once or twice, right? And yes, when somebody's suing you and your attorney leaves a voicemail on it, you get a bill about 45 days later that says left voicemail, 1/10 of an hour, $30. I never missed a call. But it took me 45 days. I mean, there was like a lot of missed calls for 45 days. I'm just saying, it sucks. Subject to considerations. Okay, here's the thing. So you're not going to do the same math on subject to considerations. On like when you're trying to evaluate a transaction, right? It doesn't really matter about 70% because it's not your loan. Now that's the good and the bad part. Here's the other thing that people don't tell you about this. If you have loans in your name and somebody else's name, who do you pay first? Your name? Fuck no. No. Here's what happens. If you don't make your payment, it hits your credit. If you don't make somebody else's payment, what is it? It's fraud. Yeah. Now, you have a fraud charge because you make a promise to somebody else to make their payment, and now you have fraud. So fuck your credit, you're paying somebody else's thing. And if you don't believe me, then you just go, you can just look up subject to land trust, state attorneys, just Google that stuff and have fun. And, lose some sleep. So no, don't take over payments if you can't make the payments. Because it's not just, oops, I can't make the payments and the seminar guy just told me just to give back the property. It's, oops, you just took advantage of somebody that was in a bad situation and now you got a fraud charge. Congratulations. Did they tell you that when you paid $3,000 for the seminar? No? No, they didn't say that. They said just put it in land trust and don't worry about it. No. You miss the payment, you're fucked. Potentially. It doesn't.
What if a couple years later they're like, all right, I would like for you to go ahead and sell the property.
Yeah. That's coming soon. Hey.
Okay.
I can see into the future. It doesn't limit your loans. So you can only get you only get like 10 loans federally backed, right? So if you're husband and wife, husband should be signing first, right? Because the wife never wants to sign. And then you get her to sign, right? So you can get 20 loans, husband and wife, right? When you go in to qualify for husband and wife team, right? Whoever makes the money, let them sign by themselves. Both are going to have to sign the deed of trust, right? But you only want one person guaranteeing, only one person hitting the credit. That way you can get 20 credit, 20 houses, right? Does that make sense? If it doesn't, just ask your neighbor. He won't know, ask the other guy. But anyways, you have 10 loans that you can get that are federally backed, is basically what it comes down to, right? If you want to accumulate as many rentals as Tyler, you're going to need to marry a lot of wives, okay? So you're going to want to value the financing. The financing is a value thing, okay? So it's not just about like the dollar figure, it's not about the spread. There's actually a value to you taking over somebody's loan, so that you can pay for it, right? And then there's a guy named Mike Sumney, he's out of Asheville. Does anybody know Mike Sumney? He's got these great rental books. His philosophy is excellent, which is basically, if I can make $1 a year on a rental, I buy the house. Does anybody else tell you that? $1 a year, and I buy the house. You know what though? But he hires excellent property managers like Bowman, so he didn't care. So he cashes his $1 at the end of the year, he's happy. But he knows that next year it's going to be $25. The year after that, it's going to be $50 or $100. It's going to appreciate in value. As long as he knows what his numbers are, if you make $1, like if somebody's going to give you $1, you're going to turn it down? Well, some of us have to work harder than others, but some of us have to work damn hard for $20. And we won't give up that $20. I got to, yeah. Anyways, it's excellent books. He's got great books. He owns 500 houses, basically paid off now. He flies over in his jets. He's in Nashville, whatever. It's a great book. 2 books. But anyways, yeah. So if you can make $1 off of somebody else's loan, then yeah. Okay, why not? Jason, you're gonna mail, telephone, you're gonna do all that stuff. That's not the speech for this. But anyways, it's person-to-person contacts. People are gonna be inundated with mail and things like that. It's not gonna, whatever. Things to watch out for. Insurance. Talking to the bank, internet access, defaulting, sellers wanting a loan later, and title insurance. So you close with an attorney, and the attorney's going to have these nasty disclosures, like basically says that this guy may or may not pay the bill or whatever, and you're responsible for it anyways. And that might help you get out of the fraud charge from the state attorney. But again, it's not about being innocent, it's about being able to pay the attorney fees, right? So when somebody tells you, no, this is legal, right? It's not about whether or not it's legal or whatever it is. It's about, can you afford the attorney bills while you prove yourself that you're right, right? I think that's also a divorce issue too, right? Yeah. So it's always about the attorney fees because you know who writes the laws, right? Yeah. So they always write it like with all these like big words that are subject to interpretation, which basically means that they can like charge more for those words. It's not like this is wrong. It's like this is wrong unless Yeah. So, anyways, you want internet access. You do not want a default, and yes, that's a problem. Yes, you're going to have a conversation with them saying, "Hey, it's going to be in your name forever, whatever, and it's going to be issues later when you get a loan." But 4 or 5 years later, or 2 or 3 years later, the memory is short. They want to go get a loan. Your loan pops up on their credit. In real life, it's an issue. You know what I mean? and then they start threatening to tell the bank or stress. So you should be prepared to be able to take them out in 5 years or thereabouts, potentially. You know, some people are going to be a pain in the ass, some people aren't, but it's a real life issue that you have to be aware of. You know, and some people you can play hardball with, and some people you can't. I mean, it's just like anything else. You know, I mean, so it's. I wish I had that answer. It's like how you ask them. Have you had that issue?
It's been a year.
It's been a year. Are they calling you?
Email my attorney.
It's been a year. Yeah, you know, some people are higher maintenance than others. What are they saying? When is he paying off the loan?
Yeah, like if he's going to sell it.
And you don't want to sell it because you like it.
It's not the time.
It's not the fucking time.
Next year.
It's Corona. We're in a pandemic. People can't pay your bills. You want it back? That's the answer.
Oh, I don't want to. It'd be upset for him.
Do they know that? No. No, most people, the reason they gave it to you because the way they look at it is not the upside. They look at the payment. They're like, so you should say to them, oh, well, did you want to make the $1,000 payment? You should say, would you like to make a $1,000 payment while I sell it in a pandemic? How about this? I'll put it on the market, and you make the payment until it sells. Or, why don't we just table this for 3 years? Good fucking answer, isn't it? So how about this? Why don't you send me this month's and next month's payment? I'll get it ready. I'm gonna spend like another 5 or 10 grand on it, and then you can reimburse me later, and then I'll sell it. Because when I took it over,
He hasn't even learned about cash for deed.
Who's he? Him?
this guy Chad.
I think I got
Chad's just starting out. Chad's, you know.
So what's the ultimate recourse they have legally?
Well, I mean, did you close with an attorney? Did they sign all the nasty disclosures?
Close the attorney, title insurance, all 9 yards.
Yeah, but did they sign the disclosures that says, this is your loan, you're responsible for it, go fuck yourself, good luck? Well, that doesn't matter, but, no, you should, there should be, the attorney, well, okay, so that's a good point. I didn't even really think about this. I just said generally attorney. So when I'm saying the attorney should close it, I'm saying that the attorney should know what he's doing, and the attorney should have about 10 to 20 nasty sentences that they have to initial and sign. And it says something to the effect of, you acknowledge that you're selling your house, but you still owe the money. You acknowledge that you're responsible for paying the monthly payment, but the buyer is going to make it for you. But if they don't, because they suck, you are still responsible for it.
A solid help on this.
Yeah, and it's like 10 or 15 nasty things. Like, so when I go tell them, when I go say I'm going to do a subject to, I'm like, listen, you're going to go to the attorney's office and you're going to sign the nastiest disclosure ever. It basically says I'm not paying you and you're responsible, but I will, because if I don't pay, then I'll give the property back to you. It doesn't make sense for me not to pay a property that I want to buy. So.
However, in state of North Carolina, owns a deed, owns the property, and the judge can't overturn it.
Well, yeah. After you pay the attorneys to prove that. Yeah. But yeah, they should sign disclosures. But in your case, they didn't, so good luck with that. Well, good luck. You might, they might have, you know. But anyways, yeah, I just threaten them and say, hey, you're gonna have to make payments. And tell them, hey, if you can come up with the next three months payments and $5,000 is gonna take me to get the house on the market, I'll sell it for you. See what they say. They're like, oh, no.
Question.
Oh, that's the questions. Oh, wait, you know what? Yeah, look. Title slide, content here. Okay, that means questions. Okay, so we're gonna do 2 questions and then we're gonna do the main course. Maybe 2.5. Do I let the homeowner stay in the house or do they gotta go? Never buy a house with the homeowner in there. In all conditions. Now, the only exception is that if you close on the house for whatever reason because they have to move and stuff like that, then you want a lease agreement and you want penalties. So if I have to buy something where they're gonna retain possession of it, then I'm gonna charge them something ridiculous like $1,000 a month or $1,000 a week. right? So, No, week to week. I'm gonna charge them $1,000 a week. So they're gonna say I'm gonna be out by the 31st. I'm gonna be like, that's fine. If you're not out by the 31st, it's gonna be $2,000 for the first week, and it's gonna be $1,000 each week after that. You gotta make it like very punitive. Because the thing is though, is that everybody has optimism, you know what I mean, about moving, and then it rains, and then their cousin doesn't show up. And so I wanna make sure that I'm making money when I'm charging them rent, and I wanna be punitive. Now, I can always forgive that later if it's like reasonable, whatever like that. But yes, but you want to have a lease. You have to have a lease agreement and escrow money back. Like I'm not going to count on them paying it. I'm going to be like, how much money do you need out of this transaction? Because I'm going to hold back 20 grand or something. Something massive. You know what I mean? Like you want them to be moving. You don't want to take away the moving money or whatever it is that they need. But you got to make sure that you got to make sure that if you want them to stay. You're like, dude, it's like awesome. And $4 grand a month on this $1,100 house. But no, never leave anybody in there. Terrible idea.
It's not necessarily a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
For you to ask everybody else.
Oh, okay.
Has anybody ever triggered the due on sale clause?
Has anybody triggered the due on sale clause? So the answer is yes.
Well, no, not you. Just to ask that.
Oh, has anybody in here triggered the due on sale clause? Well, the Pugh brothers aren't here. Here's the thing. Here's where you get triggered the due on sale clause. It's when the mortgage is guaranteed. So you're talking about a reverse mortgage, right? Or you're talking about a North Carolina, like some sort of like grant. So when you're talking about grants and those type of mortgages and stuff like that, where they'll call them due because they don't care, because that's the whole point. You know what I mean? So and especially like a reverse mortgage, like the reverse mortgage is insured. They don't care. They're already designed to make them lose money. But if it's like a North Carolina mortgage where it's like a silent mortgage, or it's just like it's a grant money to like give you money to buy the house, then they'll call them due. But like a normal loan where it's backed by stuff, no, they won't call it due. But if it's a special guaranteed mortgage, they will. I mean, that's the whole thing. You gotta understand why they're not gonna call it due, right? So if you don't understand why they're not gonna call it due, then you come across a mortgage and you're just like, oh, well, they're not gonna call it due. It's like, well, yeah, but this mortgage will call it due because they don't care. All right, one more question. No, I mean, the presentation wasn't that good. How was he asked? All right. Another quick bio break. This one's going to be a minute, though, and then we're going to have Bowman.
It's all about networking. Right? I thought that to you. Well, my point was, I probably didn't do exactly right. I've been talking 2 years. Getting the team yourself. What's that? I do. We're pretty tight on that. Well, if I don't, I do. Appreciate it. I'm trying to go. Okay. I want to build townhouses. Okay.
Right.
We're on.
I was about to say, how'd you get that?
Here's my card. Are you a true student? Okay. I still think we should partner with a builder, developer that's got that experience, whether it's underground townhomes or, you know, and I just know some guys that do But still, there's some tricks to permitting, especially when it's a lot different from single family going to the whole block. The whole permitting process is a lot different. A guy that knows what he's doing can get you through in 3 months when you could spend 7 to 10 months just trying to get through the permitting process. And that's one of the biggest struggles, and that's why I say, obviously, other than that, it's just a couple more units than doing one thing at a time. I don't really know the Savannah market. I'll be honest. My rentals, all my 99.9% of the time I rent in Charlotte. I don't even 95% of the time it's within a 3-mile radius. So I don't feel familiar with it, but I don't think they're really visible. It's just as hot.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
And everything. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't disagree with you at all. Yeah. There's a Walmart right over there. Right. I think that isn't true is the what is it? They call it a usage fee of $18,000 for a single family. Is that true or not? Oh, absolutely, no doubt. I live in Charlotte and in Savannah, and I spend in the last since March. I've been in Savannah mostly because.
Seconds.
But yeah, you're thinking it's the right definitely. And play the market you're comfortable Oh, yes, sorry. Raphael, yeah. Okay. I'll see. I don't usually care a lot, so let me see if I got Do you have a card? I just gave out I guess I had 2. It's long. Yeah, I can write it.
Everybody have their seat. The main course, the man of the hour, the Bowman, the Michael, the Bowman, the real estate, the property manager extraordinaire, the guy that will evict you for not paying $10 because you signed a contract. This guy right here, he doesn't have a problem. He's going to show up at your door and tell you to get out, leave. You pay your rent and get out. Yeah, this is the guy. See, here's the thing. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was gonna say he's gonna do. You're gonna do some case filing, and so we need to test out some names. So it'd be Michael Victor, or should it be Michael the Rent Man Bowman? Okay, this guy right here. See, the thing is, we're all nice people, right? So we pay people like Bowman to be the not nice people, right? Because he's got to collect the money on our behalf. Look, if it was up to us, we would give you a break, but we can't. It's up to Bowman. He's the guy. Talk to him, right? That's why we pay him so well. That's why he can afford T-shirts like that, like Simon Cowell. Anyways, yeah, is that enough? No. This guy works out more than I do, believe it or not.
All right, can everybody hear me? Good? Yeah. All right, hearing a lot of chatter. Okay? Are we all on this? Okay. All right. My name is Michael Bowman. I encourage everybody to pay very close attention to what I'm going to be saying. Something going on back here? Okay. Keep it moving. Just got to rile everybody in. Yep. So I'm not going to waste your time. Don't waste mine. I have some very valuable things that I'd like to convey to you guys tonight. So hopefully we can discuss this. I believe we're in very serious times. I have a very serious message. So pay attention. So I have a question. Who in this room owns residential real estate or is actively involved in residential real estate, primarily with a long-term tenant for the purpose of a profit? All right, good. A big portion of people. Awesome. All right. This is going to be very beneficial for you. For those that don't own real estate, take notes and learn a little bit about the property management process. All right. So I'm a very analytical person. I also have ADHD, so when I'm sitting down, it's tough to keep my attention. So for those of you that are like me, I've got a roadmap for us. So this is going to go over essentially my presentation, what you can have to look forward to. It's 8:30 now, I believe, 9 o'clock. Hopefully we can speed through this in about 30 to 40 minutes. I have housekeeping items to go over. My story, you're going to hear about 5 to 7 minutes about who I am, why I'm qualified to be up here, things of that nature. I'm going to give you 5 different property management challenges that I've seen landlords face during the pandemic primarily. I'm going to go over a letter that I sent to my tenants and my property owners at the start of the pandemic, so you can kind of see the way that I manage real estate. I'm going to go over a news story that went viral, a local news story that went viral, and I'm going to open it up for Q&A. I really want some good questions. This is going to be a little bit of a controversial. I'm going to have some controversial stances. I'd love for you guys to drill me on those. So if there's something you don't agree with, I want to hear from you. It's very important for even those that don't like me to understand where I come from. So again, any clarification you need, let me know. All right, housekeeping items. You guys, who here appreciates the ode to that guy? the guy from Home Alone 2. All right. All right, so questions at the end. Ask questions, get a free drink. You know this, it's been established already in other presentations. I'm not here to solicit your business. I think that's very important. If I walk out of this room with 0 more properties under my management, I will be perfectly fine. I will have 250 emails to process tomorrow. I will have 7 team members that I have to fulfill, and I will have 175 clients whose needs I have to meet. So at the end of the day, I'm not here to solicit your business. If you want me to manage your real estate, you know how to get a hold of me, but that is not why I'm here. I think that's nice to be told in the beginning, that you're not going to be sold through the whole presentation. I'm here to challenge you. You're going to be uncomfortable at times, and I encourage you to embrace it. That's what I do. I don't hang out with people that I agree with all the time. I hang out with people that challenge me. So when you feel that discomfort, embrace it a little. Maybe challenge yourself to think a little bit outside the box. Maybe I do know what I'm talking about here. I see a lot of empty cups, so please eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we die. I mean, it's 2020 after all, so let's drink a little bit. I intend on drinking a lot once the Q&A starts, so that's where I'm at. What? Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate you.
Too far.
All right.
I don't know if he wants the lemonade.
I do. Jamie knows me well. Thank you. That was nice. All right, and last thing on the housekeeping, tip extravagantly, please. We're in the middle of a pandemic. Treat these people right that are treating us correctly. So there's that. All right, this is going to be my selfish segment, part of the segment. About 5 to 7 minutes, you're going to be hearing a little bit about myself. Why am I qualified to speak up here? Who am I? What are some of my qualifications that led me to get to this point? So this is a little bit about my story. I'm sure many of you have heard about me. I know many of you in this room. I know a little bit of a polarizing figure in our community. Here's my chance to give you guys a little bit of spiel about who I am. I was born and raised in Michigan. Any Michiganders in the room? One? That's it. Anybody from Ohio in the room?
I live there.
Okay. You're from Ohio? Yep, all right.
That sucks.
Oh, sometimes I miss the north. All right. Like I said, I was born and raised in Michigan. Business acumen was always a natural gift for me. I don't know how to describe it other than it just came natural. At a very early age, I was a newspaper sales. I was the last round of paper boys. At 10 years old, 11 years old, tossing papers in freezing cold Michigan is no joke. I was just an ambitious young man. So here I am, little 11-year-old me, pushing a mower, presumably mowing gravel, it looks like. But that's me. So time for Cup of Michigan.
It's right driving.
Exactly. I moved down south to pursue a career as a pastor. Where else, other than the Bible Belt, would be a good place to find a friend? Nice to see you. Yeah. What else, other than the Bible Belt, would be a good place to study the Bible? So I moved down here when I was 18. It was a terrible economy. Detroit was filing bankruptcy. I needed to get out, so I moved here. For those of you that don't know me, the fact that I was studying to become a pastor is probably surprising to you, but it's the truth. All right. So I moved here when I was 18. I found myself unemployed at 19 years old. I was laying in my room. I had just gotten, I was working at Target for about a year, learning how to sell electronics in the sales department and things like that. Found myself unemployed, and my roommate knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I have been cleaning the offices of David and Jason Benham." So I don't know, probably not a lot of people in this room know who that is, but they were the Mac Daddy, the big dogs of real estate about 10 years ago during the recession. And I'd always wanted to join their firm. I didn't think it would be as a janitor, but I always wanted to join their firm. Nonetheless, I found myself with my first job in the real estate business when I was 19 years old, and that was a janitor of their offices. It's a very monumental point in my life because I knew I was going to be successful in business. I knew it growing up. Everyone always told me you were. My mother always told me you're destined for greatness. People would always tell me, I'm good at business, and it was just obvious. I'm good at business. And when I wanted to get in the real estate business, like I said, janitor wasn't what I was thinking. So it taught me. I have in here in parentheses a very important point in my life, which is being faithful in the little. Facts is 1 a.m. It's just me in the real estate office, cleaning the offices, cleaning the bathrooms, and I'm dreaming about one day filling out contracts in these cubicles. But I knew if I wanted to get there one day, I needed to be faithful in what I was given, and that was making $25 a night cleaning these guys' offices. Eventually, they saw my faithfulness. They promoted me to a salaried position. My second job in the real estate business was taking pictures of foreclosures all throughout North Carolina. At the time of being hired by Benham, they had about 700 foreclosure listings. So if you can understand what kind of market we're dealing with here, 700 active foreclosure listings. Certainly wish I had money at that time because there was a lot of deals to be had. Tyler, sounds like you got a few of those. All right.
Wish I had more.
But it was all these little things, I'm up here now with a nice company and things like that. But it was really when I was driving around North Carolina taking pictures of vacant properties, learning the areas, learning the properties, learning the foreclosure process, that was my foundation. I became licensed at 20 years old. Part of the Q&A, if someone wants me to hit on the question of should they get licensed, I'd be happy to address that because I have a lot of thoughts on that. But nonetheless, I became licensed at 20 years old. Real estate license, yeah, that's correct.
Licensed to kill, man.
Licensed to kill, yeah. At 23, I received a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. All right, so how many in this room are familiar with hedge funds and what they have done and the impact they have had on markets all across the U.S.? Hopefully most of you. Hedge funds are the number one reason that the market initially turned from a recession to what it is today or what it was prior to COVID. Hedge funds bought up all the inventory, particularly in neighborhoods that were cookie cutter and things of that nature. And I got in on one of them at the ground level. They were just starting, they were just opening Charlotte, and I sat with the CEO of East Coast Operations, and he said, listen, I know you're young, you're 23 years old. He said, I see the hunger in you, and I want to give you an opportunity. And I didn't know what that meant. I asked him, how many properties can I sell you? He said, you can't find me enough properties. And I thought, okay, I've heard that before. Let's see if that actually is true. Well, nonetheless, the first month working for them, I sold about 30 properties to them at 3% commission. Minimum sales price was $120, and I did that for about 2.5, 3 years, very consistently. I sold them probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 to 2,000 homes. Quite an opportunity. And had I not been faithful cleaning those toilets at 1 in the morning, I would have never had that opportunity. It's the facts. So don't, what's the saying? Don't look down on your small beginnings. Don't look down on, starting at the ground level with things. We all have to start somewhere. All right, at 24, I started my own business, and at 25, I started managing real estate. Probably one of the biggest mistakes of my career, but we can get on with that at another time. All right. 5 property management challenges during a pandemic. These are the 5 things I'm going to be speaking about: marketing, tenant placement, maintenance, collections, evictions. Simple enough. How many of you feel like that person drowning right now? Sometimes in the pandemic, I felt that way, to be honest, and it's been very challenging. So here we go. Before we begin, remember, I'm a landlord first property manager. So I love this picture of the elephant. I think it's very indicative of sometimes having strength, but not truly knowing it. I think a lot of landlords don't know the strength that they have, particularly in the laws of North Carolina, particularly in the residential lease agreements that we have, and I just don't think we operate out of that. I'm a landlord first property manager. The landlords pay my bills. I am a landlord myself. That is the position that I'm coming at from all 5 of these categories. So just keep that in mind. All right. Challenge number 1, marketing. This is the most boring one of the group, hence the lack of effort I put into the slide. So let's just blow through this, because it's been pretty much business as usual. Marketing vacant properties has been pretty much business as usual. Occupied showings, if it's occupied, put a mask on, market on all traditional websites. And just a quick marketing update. Everyone asks, how are properties renting during the pandemic? Properties are renting fine. Actually, this is the best year of rentals that I've ever seen since I've been renting out properties since 2015. They are renting at very much rapid paces, so I don't know what that's all about. I know that at the beginning of the pandemic, it was like a dead zone for the first 2 weeks in terms of marketing, and then all of a sudden it just picked back up. It was like everybody just forgot about the pandemic and got on with business as usual when it comes to renting out properties. I only have 2 properties above 30 days on the market at the moment. I have about 14 active listings, so that gives you an idea of where that is. All right, marketing's over. Y'all hanging with me? Got it. All right. Challenge number 2, tenant placement. This is the one that I'm by far most passionate about, because I think the tenant that you place in the home is central to your portfolio. I'll be hitting on that several times throughout the conversation, simply because I believe that so thoroughly. As you can see, there's a picture of the tortoise and the hare. I presume most of you guys are familiar with the story of the tortoise and the hare. Whether I'm talking about doing landlord business in the middle of a pandemic or speaking to my team at a company Christmas dinner, I'm finding myself more and more talking about the tortoise and the hare just because I believe it's very important. I think we sometimes, my next slide, in other words, be patient, motherfucker. Don't let your need compromise your values. So, I understand we all have mortgages that need to be paid. I get it. But the worst thing you can do for your property is compromise on the tenant that you place. I think we can all, anybody that's been in real estate any number of years understands that. We all want to be the good person. We all want to be the person that gives people chances. But it doesn't take long for you to realize this is a very serious business. And sometimes those chances that you take have very serious consequences. I have a client who turned over a property to me that was already occupied. At the time of it being turned over to me, the tenant was 3 months behind. The property manager had compromised the type of tenant that they placed. The type of tenant that was in there was a professional tenant, somebody that knew how to work the system, somebody that was probably one of the most vicious people that I've ever seen. We almost get her out, and then COVID hits, and all of the courts shut down. So this lady, we finally got back in court now, and this lady is still in the home 8-9 months later, paying rent-free in a $1,900 home in Valentine. Amazing, isn't it? Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars lost in rental income just because this asshole property manager didn't do their due diligence. That's some serious business here. Follow your rules. Pardon me? Let's address that in Q&A, okay? All right? Follow your rules. You should have a set of rules in this business. You should have people that you want to work with, people that you don't want to work with. Follow them at all costs. Never deviate from your rules. No exceptions, no sob stories. Save that for your therapist. I don't want to hear it. It's the facts. No double deposits. More money does not change the fact that you're a piece of shit. It's the facts. And I'm telling you, piece of shit tenants will say to you, hey, I don't, this is what they all say, I don't have the credit score that you're looking for, I have an eviction on my record, I promise you it was a domestic dispute, I didn't mean it, blah, 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 I have money though, I can pay you a double deposit, I can pay you a year in advance. Just run from that, please. That's all I can say to you, because that is not good for your portfolio, and I assure you that tenant will be not good for you. Now the way you combat that is, hey, apply, and then, have them apply. Don't turn them down, but 99 out of 100 times that tenant is going to come back with a bad credit score, something like that. Just run from those people. No co-signers. All right. I like co-signers, so I know that flies in the face of what I've written up here. But the facts is a co-signer does not bail you out of a shitty tenant. Remember, that shitty tenant is still living in that home. It's still somebody that you're dealing with on a daily basis. This is still somebody that, so even though, there's just, I use a cosigner for a tenant that I'm already comfortable with, maybe somebody that's getting started in life. They just graduated college, they have okay credit, but maybe they've been on the job a year, and, they're good people that I feel good about, but I just want a little additional security for myself or my clients. That's when I utilize a cosigner. Do not utilize a cosigner when the prospective tenant has 3 evictions on their record, a credit score of 480, and things of that nature. A cosigner will do you no good. Sure, the money will be there, but you'll be dealing with drama, you'll be dealing with a shitty property when it turns back over to you. Keep it simple. Oh, by the way, did you know cosigners die? Yeah, I've had that happen too. Okay? Guess who you're stuck with when the cosigner dies? Okay? There we go. No 1 year in advance, I already hit that. No rush jobs. Someone comes to you, listen, I love immediate movements, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But if someone comes to you and it's in a rush, that is a red flag. Move at your pace. Someone applies on a Saturday, take your time to respond. Respond on Monday. If they're blowing you up, if they're in a hurry, that's a red flag. No drama. I have a cup at my house that says drama-free zone. That is that it's the same for my personal life, for my professional life. I don't want to deal with a bad tenant. I don't want a tenant that's a pain in the ass because I got to deal with them every day. I want no drama in my life. That includes my tenant base. Install barriers of entry in your screening criteria. Expensive application fees, minimum 2 months rent up front, minimum credit scores, good income. All of this stuff is important. Have barriers to entry to your rental properties. This is the Charlotte market. The last 5 to 7 years that I've been renting properties here, I've had no issues renting properties out. Until that changes, I am not going to deviate on these things. My application fee is $65. That's very expensive. It's an expensive application fee. Guess what? I want barriers to entry to these people renting my properties. They don't have $65 and they can't pay a fee online. They're not my type of tenant. That doesn't mean that that has to be the same for you. That's just the way that's worked for me. Simple. Minimum 2 months rent up front. I just learned I want skin in the game. I don't want people that are living paycheck to paycheck to the best of my ability. I understand. Lower income properties, you have lower income things that you deal with, but for the most part, if they can't pay 2 months rent up front, I don't rent to them. Simple. Even in a pandemic, you can get extended leases, immediate move-ins, good, stable, drama-free tenants. This is possible. I assure you. I have several clients in this room that can attest. For the most part, I try to only get extended leases. 18 to 24 months is what an extended lease looks like. Did you know that a lease doesn't have to be 1 year? Everybody assumes that it's going to be 1 year. You can actually negotiate that. 18 months, 24 months. If your property is turning over every single year, you're not making money on that property. That is the facts. Keep a tenant in there long term. That is how you make money. All right. I like that one. You guys like that? Yeah? All right. Which one are you, Jamie? The success of your portfolio is dependent on the tenant you choose. Choose wisely. Love the Matrix, so I chose. I thought it was a blue pill, but it's the green pill, I guess, and a red pill. So this will make or break your portfolio. I can't say it enough. All right. What's the next category? Any guesses? Challenges that we faced during the pandemic with that picture? Maintenance. All right. I've actually never seen that movie, so I need to. I need to. Yeah, I've never seen it. All right. Liability management, mask up. So regardless of my opinions about a mask, and I have a lot of them, I've made those opinions public. However, if you show up to a property and it's tenant occupied, or you send a maintenance technician to a property and it's tenant occupied and you're not wearing a mask, you're opening yourself up for liability. Like these guys and gentlemen were talking about, obviously litigation is not cheap. You avoid it at all costs in this business. So mask up, simple enough. Early stages of the pandemic, it was emergencies only. Now it's business as usual. So basically I was, it was only emergencies. I wasn't gonna fix anything. Well, that's kind of the way that I manage anyway. But it was especially the way that fix anything that isn't an emergency. It was especially that way during the initial stages of the pandemic. Maintenance requests are extremely high right now. Tenants are being very needy. We have a hot season, we have a pandemic going on, we have a lot of people stuck at home, people are submitting a lot of repair requests. Did you know you're allowed to say no to a repair request? Did you know that?
How would you do that?
Say no. Literally say no. No, I'm not going over there and spending $150 of my client's money to install a doorknob that fell off. And you've been at home for 3 years. That's what it looks like. Now, if the property is being compromised, if there is a leak in the property, something that can damage the property, something that can compromise the tenant's ability to live there, hot water, HVAC, we're very quick about that. Very cognizant of these things. But you're allowed to say no.
You never have that bite you in the butt, like during in front of the magistrate when they.
So the question was. This is the other question we take prior to the Q&A. Question was, does it bite you in the ass when it comes to courts? Yeah, they can. And that's part of the reason that lady has been not paying rent for 8 months in Valentine, because the current property manager didn't do their due diligence there either, and she rented the house as is. Never do that. Never rent a tenant a house as is. That is the worst thing you can do. And there was nothing in writing that said it was as is. It was just a handshake. And yeah, so the initial loss in court was because of repairs. All right. Pro tip, side tip, pay your vendors in a timely fashion. You want vendors that answer your phone call, because everybody's busy right now. You want vendors to answer your phone call, pay them in a timely fashion. Get a priority to keep the people in your life happy. Simple enough. All right, we're blowing through this quick. Challenge number 4, collections. The older I get, the more I understand that man. That's all I gotta say. The older I get. It's not your job to chase down your tenant for rent. It is their job to be responsible, pay on time, and communicate any little delays. What this is having a high expectation on your tenant. Remember, you train others how to treat you. If I am allowing my tenant to be late every single month, and they are dependent on my phone call to them for a reminder that rent is paid, guess who's going to have to make that phone call every single month? Me. Or I'm going to have to pay somebody else on my team to do it, which is equally as asinine. I shouldn't have to pay anybody on my team to collect rent. It sounds crazy, but you shouldn't have to. By the way, 96% of my rental payments are all online. A year ago it was 60%. So look at that. Look at how many people can actually pay online when you enforce your rules. 96%. I have 7 people that are on a check exception list. Other than that, nobody else can pay on a check. Before anything was closed, I was hearing COVID excuses. The excuses were coming from already shaky tenants. I'm gonna hit on that in a few. Here are the facts. Anybody that's managed real estate for any amount of time knows if you give a tenant an inch, they will take a mile. It's the facts. You are the utility company. Act accordingly. If you ever call your utility company, do you ever call your utility company and negotiate with them? Never. No. Because you know, you don't pay your bills, your lights are going off. Simple. That's the way property management should be. It should be as cut and dry as that. We complicate it because there's emotions involved, there's people involved, there's our mortgage involved. It should be that simple. A business transaction. That's all it is. I don't want my heart involved. I don't want to get emotionally tied. None of that. No payment plans. Simple enough. And listen, I've been in the business a long time. I have 400 properties that I manage. I've taken payment plans before, if it makes sense. If it makes sense for me, property owner, primarily, if it makes sense. If I think they can actually do it, if there's a situation that makes sense, yeah, I get it. But that should not be your norm. That is like the rare exception. That is like twice a year for me. Not every tenant. I'm having some issues here. Yeah. I guess it's good time to drink, huh?
Cheers. Cheers. Everybody cheers. It feels growing.
Woo!
Cheers, my shot.
Basically drinking lemonade. You're good to go. All right. Perfect. Thank you, sir. No promises to pay. Same thing. Everybody, particularly the gentleman in the room, read this next one. No blowjobs. What? All right?
Hold on.
Listen.
Where are we going?
I'm going to tell you where this is going. Every 6 to 8 months, some schmuck emails me, landlord accepts sexual favors for rent. Rumor has it, Scott hasn't collected money since 1982.
I cannot confirm or deny.
There are a lot of people out there that fall into this category.
We won't get into the habit of age,
Listen, gentlemen, I understand we all have needs. I get it. Save your happy endings for the local rub and tug, not your real estate business. Got it? No pay, no stay. Simple. This business is simple if you follow these rules. I have a very simple life, pretty easy life. I manage 400 pieces of real estate, and my life is not stressed out. That is, a lot of people cannot say that, period. When I have a situation in my company where I have a tenant that doesn't pay, it's a situation. It is an event. It is not an everyday occurrence. Simple. All right. We're going to get to the letters now. The reason I'm here. All right. Scott, that would be close to home for you, didn't it?
I'm trying to interpret.
Yeah.
It's a fifth ground.
All right, guys, give me about 10 more minutes. I'm going to read a lot, and we will be good to go for the Q&A. All right, so going back to the COVID and collections. So early March, when all of COVID was starting to happen, I started hearing a lot of excuses before anything had closed. People were literally calling me on March 14th and saying, I can't pay rent because of COVID, and nothing had closed. Okay? So I knew we were going to have a problem here if I didn't act quickly. I knew I had to set the tempo early for my property owners and my tenants for how this next, whatever time frame it was going to be, was going to go. I was not about to change anything that I was doing because there was a national pandemic going on. I mean, listen, it sounds crazy, but like it's just the facts. So here's a letter that I sent my property owners. Several of you, a couple of you in this room have received this letter. Feel free to read it. I'm going to read it here. Good afternoon. Many of you have reached out to me in recent days requesting information on the impact COVID-19 could have on your rental portfolio and my response to such impact. On March 15th, the North Carolina Supreme Court ruled that all court hearings, including eviction cases, are postponed 30 days. On March 17th, the South Carolina Supreme Court ruled that all court hearings, including eviction cases, are postponed until May 1st. So at this point, everything had been postponed about 30 to 45 days. Based on my interaction with several attorneys in my sphere, this is a minimal ruling, and depending on how bad this virus spreads and the global financial hit that many undertake, this could be pushed even further. As your portfolio manager, I have certain contractual obligations that I must uphold, and one of those is maintaining a tight rein on delinquencies, regardless of the hysteria. Because the facts is property owners are susceptible to this as anyone. I received a lot of property owners that reached out to me and said, I don't want to file on my tenants, and I had to set the tone clear with my property owners first that I will be filing eviction on any non-paying tenant. Sorry. For this reason, I fully intend on abiding by the same delinquency rules I set for my tenants every month and filing eviction on any tenant that is not paid on my normal filing schedule. I will not be waiving late fees or delaying eviction proceedings. If anything, I'll be filing quicker if I see potential trouble due to the backlog the court systems will have once everything resumes as usual. And let me tell you, it's backlogged. Okay? When the courts decide to hear the case is out of my control, but I must stick to what's under my control, and keeping the delinquency rate of your portfolio in check certainly falls under that. After this email, my next email will be to your resident, explaining that though we empathize with the current state of the world, our loyalty is to our clients and their best interests. And if they are late throughout this process, we will begin filing eviction on them. In my many years of real estate, I've learned that if you give a tenant an inch, they will take a mile. And giving them a reason to be late will only make the problem worse. Your property is in good, competent hands, and we will be sure to get through this together, provided we keep our wits about us and a level head at all times. As always, please email me with any questions. Please email me. Yeah. There's only one person in this room that calls me and gets an answer every time, and that's Yasmin in the back. Everybody else, please email me. Right, Yasmin? All right. So I just want to stop and say, like, that's the kind of letter I want from my property manager. It is. In the middle of a fucking pandemic, this letter comes out that says, you're going to have a lot to worry about over the next few months. Your rental property will not be one of them. That's a letter I want from my property manager. Whether the tone could have been changed, whether there's some things I could have changed at it, the facts are, as anyone that knows anything about real estate knows, that is the type of letter that gets things done. All right, moving on to the letter that I sent to tenants, as promised. All right, not working on my computer, so I'll read it from the screen. Good afternoon. We would like to take a moment to reach out to you regarding our expectations on your rental payment in April and ensuing months. Given the situation at large with the COVID-19 virus, first and foremost, we empathize with any of our tenants who have experienced hardship during this season in the form of medical or financial. These are truly difficult times, and we at Bowman Property Management see and acknowledge that. And there's a but. With this being said, it is important that we are on the same page. Remember, this is sent to my tenants, 400 of my tenants. Track with me. It is important that we are on the same page about your rental payment, and we want to remind you that the terms of the lease are in effect in good times and in bad, and our expectation is that rent will be paid on time with no questions asked. We have a fiduciary responsibility to our clients to ensure rent is collected on time, and any delinquent tenants will be subject to our standard late policy, which includes a 5% late fee being added to your account and eviction proceedings taking place. In times of uncertainty, you must maintain the four walls of your home: food, shelter, transportation, and utilities, and ride out the good times while we wait for better days. Better days will assuredly come, and we will all get through this together. Stay safe and let us know if you need anything.
So you basically told them they can't afford happiness, but they can afford it.
Yeah. Listen, I saw nothing wrong with this letter, okay? You know, I truly saw nothing wrong with this letter. I'm drafting it in my office. I'm the only one there in the entire fucking building, and I saw nothing wrong with it. And I sent this to one of my clients, and he said, "You're going to be on the local news." And I said, "What the fuck are you talking about, man? I just literally said, hey, stick to the lease. Simple stuff here." But no, in this politically correct culture, that's not okay. Landlord's the evil person. They're the rich people. I think any landlord in this room understands it is hard to make money in this business. Like, we are not making money hand over fist. Like, it's hard to make money in residential real estate. And
It's almost 10 o'clock at night. Enjoying ourselves. It's hard.
all right, I don't know what that was, but here we go.
That's Jamie.
All right.
You know Jamie.
So that's it. Let me get to the news story. So, all right. So here's a little bit of background on the news story. So this letter did not go over well with my tenant base. As what was that?
Calm down.
All right.
You don't say. Look over here.
This letter did not go well with my tenant base. Okay. There was rumblings on social media immediately. It was being sent to the local news stations. It was very clear that this letter did not sit well with people. So I got ahead of the game. I emailed all local news stations the letter. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it.
All right, just pause. I emailed all local news stations the letter. I emailed the Charlotte Agenda, or Charlotte Observer the letter. Yeah, my age is showing. And so I got a call from, I think it was WBTV, it was one of the local news stations, and they did an interview with me. And they said, this looks good. And I honestly was like pretty politically correct with my interview, and it didn't go anywhere. It never made it to TV. So then I got an email from Nate Mortabino, and I thought to myself, that's the type of Dago that is going to write my hit piece. And I can say Dago because I'm Italian. So there we go. And I knew that this guy was, because at the end of the day, let's be real, controversy sells. You don't believe that? Look who's in the White House. Okay? Controversy sells. All right? And I am okay with that. I'm okay with embracing that. So I wanted it to go viral. And, I wanted that to happen. And I knew that if that was going to happen, I had to go all in on my position. Just like I'm doing tonight, not holding anything back, giving you guys the true, unfiltered truth. That is what I was doing when Nate interviewed me. So here we go. Let me get your attention for 2.5 minutes on this. We got one more
Closure
slide,
court hearing.
and we'll be at Q&A.
Hearings are on hold right now in North Carolina. Thousands of people are losing their jobs and struggling to make rent. But the Defender's Nathan Morabito discovered landlords are taking a range of measures to keep the payments coming in, some more controversial than others.
While we know some landlords are cutting their tenants slack, we've since learned another is rolling out a loan program, and a third is unapologetically holding renters to the terms of their lease. Call him unsympathetic if you want.
Nobody saves for rainy days.
But property manager Michael Bowman isn't budging.
I'm notoriously a landlord that doesn't generally let tenants get by with any exceptions.
Not even for a pandemic. He says the 200 property owners he represents bank on $450,000 worth of monthly rent collections.
We're talking about a grandmother that has a 10-unit apartment complex who's a widow, and this is her only income. I mean, this is my standard client.
Even as court hearings are temporarily on hold, he's moving forward with filing evictions and attempting to collect.
It's never fun throwing a single mother and their 3 kids out on the streets. That's not fun, but it's business.
I know that there are tenant advocates that would say you're basically going to try to scare these tenants into paying, even though you don't have the backing of the courts right now.
I mean, it's not about scaring. It's about holding people accountable in the midst of good times and in bad.
Over at the Avant at Steel Creek, not only is the property manager there trying to convince people to renew their leases now and avoid rent increases, the complex also rolled out a new rental loan program.
I know for some people, it probably would be a lifesaver.
April Lewis, a tenant, housing advocate, and recently terminated employee of the complex, fears the program will create additional hardships.
It's like you're asking people to go into more debt.
But Till, the company administering the loans, says this is actually a cheaper alternative than late or eviction fees. Tenants have to be employed to be approved, only get a loan for 1 month's rent, and have 6 months to pay it back incrementally. The cost of interest? About $47 for a $1,200 loan. Most importantly, Till says, it radically improves a renter's ability to stay in the home.
I'm the person standing up for the landlord in this scenario.
Back at Bowman Real Estate, Michael says he's getting death threats and plenty of blowback, but his stance remains the same.
And yes, I'm very comfortable with that.
The property manager of Avant at Steel Creek tells us the complex doesn't receive any commission or...
Oh, I got a lot of things to say about that. All right, so a couple things. I knew I was fucked when I saw that picture that he used from, I don't know, 2012 or something. I have no idea why he picked that picture, but I knew I was fucked at that point. Yeah, it's just like, come on, man. There was so many more flattering photos of me online than that. Nonetheless, here we are. Yeah, I got a lot of pushback from that. A lot of people did not like that statement, particularly if the single mother and her 3 kids on the streets. Nobody likes the reality of having to be the landlord and evicting a tenant, but it's the reality. And we can all try to pussyfoot around the truth, but the facts are no pay, no stay involves single mothers and their 3 kids. Sorry. So that's that. I was watching it with my then girlfriend at the time, and I wouldn't look at her when the video was playing. And at the end, she was trying her best to be supportive, but still definitely nervous. And I said then girlfriend because she's no longer my girlfriend for some inexplicable reason. So that's not just kidding. Yeah. All right.
So did you have a picture?
Can I go to the fence?
You're saying I can't stay here anymore then.
All right, where we are here. This is not working. All right, my last slide. Challenge number 5, evictions. They don't call me the evictor for nothing. Scott, thank you for that, by the way. Yeah. landlording is a very ruthless sport. I posted this on Facebook. I don't think I posted this on Christmas Day because that wouldn't have been very nice, but I posted it nonetheless. If you don't have what it takes to file eviction on Christmas Day, you should not be managing real estate. And it's the truth. If you don't have what it takes to go to the courthouse to file eviction if the courthouse was open on Christmas Day, you should not be managing real estate. Good news, boys and girls. The courthouse is open. All right. Mecklenburg County update, backlog city. So some of these other little counties around the area, particularly we checked at Union County today, they're all caught up. Mecklenburg, not so lucky. Mecklenburg already has bloodthirsty judges that hate landlords and love tenants, and they're going to use any excuse to push this thing along. So, one thing that I would advise is even more so put emphasis on the tenant you place during these times, because it's a nightmare when you have to file eviction right now. Draft a lease that allows you to file notice-free eviction on the 6th of the month. That means you don't have to give notice. You don't have to give late notice. Did you know that? There are some, like if your lease says that you don't have to give late notice, you can file eviction on the 6th of the month. Simple. 1 day after a missed payment. You have a 5-day grace period, and my lease allows me to file on the 6th. I'm not filing on the 6th. I collect a lot of rent between the 5th and the 15th. It's just the facts. You know, and the way I look at my entire portfolio is like a stock portfolio. I just look to see if it's performing. So the majority, you know, again, 90% of my rental payments come in before the 5th. The remaining 10% come in after the 5th. It's just the rental business. You're always going to have some tenants that are going to pay a little late, and that's fine. My owners and myself make money on late fees, so everything's good. Show no mercy. Keep business and charity separate. Some of you want to confuse the two. Some of you want to get confuse philanthropy and business. Some of you, and I get it. I want to be a good person and I want to fund charitable endeavors. But you cannot properly do that if your business is not performing. You cannot properly do that if you're laying off your team. You cannot properly do that if your owners are not getting paid, your clients are not getting paid. Keep business and charity separate. Charity is fine, but let your business fund your philanthropy. I didn't realize I used that thing twice, but nonetheless, there you are. You have the power, walk in it. Simple. All right, that's it. Questions? Comments? Theological debates? What do we got?
What's the Dixie courthouse really looking like right now? Backed up is 30 to 40%. Everybody keeps saying.
Is George Gibbs in the house? No? All right.
My attorney was there for 4 hours today.
Yeah.
This was just an aside as he was telling me about other stuff. He was like, I was there for 4 hours today for 4 hours today. I'm never doing it again.
Well, they close at noon, number one. My assistant tried to go there at 2 o'clock and they were closed. Yeah, and they're a mess. Mecklenburg County is, like I said, it's.
Your attorney's not doing attorney work next time?
He's not going to do eviction for it.
George Gibbs did one for us this past week.
Yeah.
I was surprised that it went through.
Well, Georgia is posted on Facebook this morning, particularly that Mecklenburg's backed up. There's just no doubt about it. So that's that. I mean, listen, it's not going to be the end of the world. You'll get in. It's just going to be a delay. If all things are perfect, a standard eviction takes 30 to 45 days. Just plan on a little bit more time. Or just don't evict. Guys, I have 400 tenants. I put $450,000 in rent roll every month. I have filed on 3 people in the four full months of the pandemic. I have filed on 3 people. That is less than 1 a month. I mean,
how much of those 400 are behind that?
None. You kidding me?
So what's the secret sauce for being married for 75 years like that? How does that work?
Hold on a second. All right.
That's 400 tenants.
What's the secret
how
sauce?
How do you have a 99.98%?
Well, number one, my delinquency rate is not 99.98%. It's more like 97, 98%. Because there's a lot of variables that go into that.
He's jacked.
What's the secret sauce? This stuff that I'm talking about. Like, this is it. This is the secret sauce.
I don't even know.
All right.
So basically what you're saying is that you're picking my people from the start.
Everybody's been bench pressing.
All right.
Great job of character.
You're not breaking my big cheers.
All right. What other questions do we have? Seriously, I want to have a very good Q&A session. What other questions do we have? We have one over here.
Yeah, so you basically said that the secret to your sauce, whatever, is you're taking my people from the general.
Yes.
Repeat that question.
I'm going to. Okay. So the question was, or more or less a statement, the secret sauce, quote unquote, is the tenant placement, the screening up front. Yes, that along with all my other principles here. These are not common principles that you hear a lot of property managers speak about. You don't hear a lot of property managers open about these things and dealing with tenants these ways. My competition was sending tenants letters that said, we understand that you're going through trouble right now, and we will waive your late fee. We will, help you with this program that's offering payment. We will do all these things. That's not my job. It's not. It's not my job. And I wasn't about to do that. All right, what do we got here, Doc?
Shits and giggles, man. How much blowback do you get from that newspaper company? It didn't even matter.
It went local. Okay, so yeah.
Local, but whatever.
So great question. It went viral nationally. So my team.
The other video.
Hold on. My team can attest. We woke up to hundreds of voicemails on Monday morning with death threats all across the U.S. Yeah. I ended up being on 2 other local stations that week. I was in the Charlotte Observer, and then I was on the John Oliver Show. Just a small section in the John Oliver Show, but he found it, and I was on it. And that's really where everybody is. Like, literally everybody that I run into is like, oh, I saw you. Yeah, like.
What do you think the search term was that John Oliver searched? I mean, right? It was up late. The writers, I mean, John Oliver probably didn't do it.
Yeah.
But the writers are probably looking like for something like property managers that are.
I think John Oliver did not.
And then he popped up.
I think John Oliver did not represent landlords properly. I think it was a botched case. I love John Oliver. Like, I enjoy him. But, like, I just didn't
that's your Christmas thing.
Well, listen.
Well, I got a question.
All right.
Did you break any laws by doing this?
What do you mean? So the question is, did I break any laws by doing this? So
Did you not conform to the standards that were at the time?
All right.
Breaking any laws by being so firm and so abrasive as you are right now? The question.
Yeah. So the question is, did I break any laws? Technically, I wasn't supposed to be charging late fees. And like any tenant that I go to court with, those late fees are off their ledger. But my contract says that I can charge late fees. You see what I'm saying? So like, who is the governor to take his money, his hand, and put it in literally in my pocket, in my client's pocket? So yes, I mean, listen, I did collect some late fees, but I was under contractual obligation to do that. So listen, if anyone wants to fight me on that, so be it.
So I guess in the end, you want to still stand and talk to it.
Something like that. Something like that. What else we got? Jim, you had something.
How do you handle inherited tenants? A lot of properties we buy come with tenants in place who have, $200 security deposit.
Absolutely. So the question is about inherited tenants. You find a property, 12 units, 15 units, whatever it might be, and obviously there are tenants there. So there's a situation where that tenant base has to mesh with my system. Not the other way around. That tenant base has to mesh with my system. Now, I operate in the best interest of the client. So, I'm not going in there like a bull in a china shop. I'm not going in there like a new sheriff on the block. I am informing them of my rules, pay online, things like this. No month-to-month leases. Let's bring it up to market value and all these things. But also taking into account the goals of the portfolio. Because I'd imagine if you have a situation like that, 12 units, there's goals of the portfolio. Here's the goals, 2-year goal plan for this property. And so it's really a case-by-case basis. But, listen, the 7 people on my check exception list are inherited tenants. You know what I mean? The payment plans that I'll take from time to time are inherited tenants on properties that, we're turning the whole thing, and I'm just trying to generate some extra money. So there's certainly... I'm an investor, I understand the mind of an investor, so I make accommodations when I inherit tenants. That's just the facts, but they have to get on my system very quickly.
Do you try to convert them from month-to-month annual leases, or try to turn them over and get?
Well, it just depends on the portfolio. I took over a 12 unit in Stanley, and 10 out of the 12 were occupied, and 4 of the tenants were good, so we extended them for 12, 13, 14, 15 months, so we staggered leases. We had a group of tenants that were shit, but we weren't ready to get rid of them yet, so we extended them on a month-to-month lease. And then we had a couple people that were terrible that we just evicted. So that kind of gives you an idea.
That's the most funny eviction story ever.
I mean, I've already told you the case of the one in Valentine. It's the worst I've ever seen.
All right, let's hear it.
Told them to tell them.
All right.
Oh, wait, is this the one where they got the police order not to?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain it right now?
All right, let me get this question. All right. Apparently everyone wants to know about the Valentine case. I got you.
Repeat the question.
All right, so the question was, what was the mistake in the Valentine case? How do you have a tenant that's not paid 8 months? Well, number one, you have a pandemic that slowed it down in 4 months, 5 months, whatever. So that's number one. Number two, the property manager, number one, rented to a terrible tenant. That's number one. And when the property manager was confronted with it, would not furnish the credit report or the application report.
What was her name? Who was that?
I'm not going to say that.
Did I go through some rhymes? Did you say yes or no?
Just no. I'm not about to do that. All right. So they didn't do proper screening. They didn't follow the rules. They wanted to get a tenant in there in a hurry. Why? It's beyond me. Number two, they rented it as is. So never have a situation where you have a property that needs work, and if a tenant says, "Oh, listen, I'll take it like it is," exactly. Never be okay with that. Well, that and there's legal. You have to get the property in a certain condition to rent it. You know, so that's number two. They didn't get it in the lease as is. Yeah, that's it, and that's all it took. She didn't pay 1 month, and then she appealed, and then then COVID, and then boom, you wake up 8 months later, he's out thousands of dollars. She's an SCGL in New York. He's doing well, but that doesn't matter. He's still out $20,000.
So the end of the story, right? She has. What happens to her?
Oh, the end of the story is she's still living in that home.
Okay, wait, but at some point she's not going to, right?
Yeah, so we won in court. We were there a week ago. We had an attorney present, and the judge said this has gone on long enough. We understand that there might be some things wrong with the property when you moved in, but you haven't been paying rent long enough. It's time for this to be over. The judge set an appeal bond for $3,000. What that means is the tenant can pay $3,000 to the court and appeal the decision. They have 10 days to do so. So she could appeal and then just wait 2 more months. I mean, literally, she can drag this out another 2, 3, 4 months. So that's that.
Well, all right, so then.
Okay, so the thing was, though, I'm not getting into that shit. What were you saying?
So, all right. Yeah, okay.
What's up?
I thought it was there. She doesn't appeal, right? And then, does she still owe the money? I mean, does she have? How's that pan out?
Well, so the question is, does she still owe the money? Can you, as landlord, recoup the money? Well, you can't get blood out of a turnip. That's the facts. And yeah, she still owes the money. Sure, it goes to collections, but her credit's already shit. Her eviction already has 3 evictions in the record.
Okay.
These are the things that the property manager should have screened through, but they didn't.
Which goes back to your secret sauce.
Pick the right people.
So you lost money.
Or keep it. I didn't do shit. I mean, yeah,
They lost money.
yeah, the property owner's out $20,000, man.
You still what kind of a manager are you? Their money.
I didn't put that tenant in there. I didn't put that fucker in there.
You're right.
Yeah, we've spent thousands of dollars in legal fees to try to get her out. Finally, we've won. Listen, this is an imperfect business. That's the facts. All right. What other questions do we have? Yes, sir. Yep. So the clarification is in regards to the comment I made. There's a lot of chatter, guys, and there's still a lot of people that have questions. So the question is in regards to the 6th, when I said notice-free evictions on the 6th of the month. What that means is your lease. So the law in North Carolina is that if your lease waives notice, you can file eviction on the 6th of the month. But your lease has to waive notice. So if your lease doesn't waive notice or address notice, the default is you have to give a 10-day notice. Yep. So
waive notices.
yeah, my lease just naturally says it. Any lease we can file on the 6th. I've never filed eviction on the 6th of the month, ever. But I like that right. I like to be able to do it.
Did you have your own rental contract created rather than using the standard
Yes.
North Carolina residential?
So the question is, do I have my own lease agreement? Yes, I do. You're welcome to email me for that agreement. I'd be happy to send it to you. My email is my name, Michael, Michael. Just look me up on Facebook and send me a message, Michael Bowman. But I'll be happy to send that lease to you because it is drafted with many things that the North Carolina lease does not include.
Did you have an attorney draft it?
Yes. It's not perfect. I'm going to go back and edit some things out of it and into it. But nonetheless, it's a good lease. One thing, Jim. Got gentleman in the back. What's up, man?
Yeah, so,
How you doing, man?
does it vary state to state of your leases? So you have a majority in North Carolina or South Carolina?
Yeah, majority of what I manage is in North Carolina. I do manage a little bit in South Carolina.
So does your lease changes?
Now, yeah, you have that lease specific lease. So the question is, does your lease work in other states? No, it has to be state specific. All right, let me go right here.
Do you have drink tickets for the weekend?
All right.
Just a drink, I think these are-
If anyone wants a drink ticket, just let me know. All right.
What's your stance on making tenants pay for a maintenance request? Is that in your lease? Because I've seen some landlords who are very aggressive, like we're only covering roof, HVAC, windows.
Yeah.
Versus you.
Yeah, I'm not a slumlord. You know, you might think I'm a slumlord after this. I'm not. I think they're my tenants. You know, they're important. I want them to be, you know, have reasonable places to live. They're paying me to rent. You know, I have high standards for my rental properties. The question is, what's the question?
What's your stance on having tenants pay for maintenance?
Oh yeah, the question is tenants paying for maintenance. Do I allow it? Well, number one, I don't allow a lot of complicated things like that. You know, I keep it simple. Tenant wants to build a fence in the backyard. No. Tenant wants this. No. You know, it just keep life simple for me. And then if they push, maybe I'll think about it. But usually that initial no will just stop it right there in its tracks. If a tenant submits a service request, it goes to me. I take a look at it. I send it to my team member to do whatever they want with it. There are some things that we just cancel. You know, again, like I said, a lock falling off. You know, the bedroom door. I'm not going to go over there and spend money to do that. We're already in the area. It's an apartment complex. You know, we're already going to be there. That's one thing. But if it's a single family home, not going to do it. If we go over there and it's an HVAC issue, and we go there and the filters aren't changed, all right, my vendor still has to get paid, so they're going to get paid charge me $100 and some bucks, and then that is the point where I bill that back to the tenant. But I would never agree to that. Like if I knew the filters were the issue, like I would have them change that before I spent that money. Like I'm not about charging back the tenants. Although I have a pretty high collections rate with it. Yeah, so that's the answer. So keep it simple, try not to do that. If you do it and there's a legitimate thing, yeah, bill it back to the tenant. Tell them they have to pay it. I have a damn good collections rate with that. Yes, sir.
Do you manage any properties where it's rental by the room?
Never. So the question is, do I manage rental by the room? And the reason I clarified at the beginning the type of real estate that I manage, which is long-term tenants, so no Airbnbs. I'm not against Airbnbs. If that works for you, go for it. And no monthly room, no monthly tenant leases, no week-to-week leases, no room leases. It just, you know, listen, I have an MO and it works for me, you know, and I don't do any Airbnbs. I probably have some rental properties that I can make more on Airbnb, but it doesn't fit in my system. You know, and at this point in my life, I want everything to be automated and everything to be in my system. If at some point I decide to do Airbnbs, you will know, but I am not at that point. All right, who else has a question?
How often if you have a tenant that's not paying, go towards a cash for keys or some type of other situation before straight to eviction?
So the question is, how often do you do a CFK, cash for keys, some sort of creative way to get a tenant to turn over their keys if there are problems, they're not paying, that kind of thing? And the answer to that question is never. I've never done it. You know what? Yeah, the foreclosure business is in my blood. It's in my DNA, and cash for keys was huge in the foreclosure business. But getting a homeowner foreclosed is a little bit more of an extensive process and a little bit more money. And by a little bit more money, I mean $20,000 to evict somebody, to foreclose on somebody, rather than $400 to evict them. So I keep it simple. I don't offer them money. Why do we offer money to somebody that's breaking my lease?
Is that the average cost of a
$350.
That's a landlord versus owner financing situation.
Yeah, I charge
Higher cash fees.
I charge $350 to the it. And now listen, that guy that has a tenant that hasn't paid in 8 months, he hasn't paid $350. He paid a lot more than that. So things can happen, but 99.9% of the conviction cases go pretty much as business as usual, and $350. What else we got?
Do you have any more drink tickets from these two gentlemen studs over here?
I got a couple. Does anyone want a drink ticket? Seriously?
Hold on, I would like.
Yeah. These guys asking these incredible questions. Need drink questions.
You asked a lot of questions.
All
All right, who else?
Yeah. There you go. Come on.
Thanks, man.
All right. I got two more. Who wants up?
And if anybody else, if anybody wants to go, just go. We'll get the Q&A forever, but it's not rude if you need to just go ahead and go home with your mommy or whatever.
Yeah, at this point, I will not hear you.
Meanwhile, we're going to sit here and educate ourselves on the eviction rules and justice. And he's got some drink tickets to give out for the really good ones.
All right, guys. Any more Q&A? We done? All right, we got one answer. All right, what's up?
The 2-month upfront requirement is making it harder at the lower price.
Except for Roberta, she's got
$500-$600 range.
All right, y'all. You paying attention? The question is, does the 2-month requirement make it tougher? Yeah, you're good. Does the 2-month requirement make it tougher on lower income? I manage a lot of lower income, you know? Yeah. So I manage a lot of lower income. At one point, my average rent was like $500. Now my average rent is like, I need to know this number, but it's like $1,100. So it's definitely increased over the years. But I still manage a lot of lower income. Still have a lot of ties to rural communities in the area that rent for $700. I mean, you know, I still manage plenty of that. And my rules do not change whether it's lower income or higher income. They're the same, and I've had no issues placing tenants in any of the directions. So now listen, if a house is $3,000 in Myers Park, I'm literally going to make 0 exceptions. But if a house is $700 in Lancaster, South Carolina, the tenant has good credit, but they've been on the job 1 year or less than a year, you know, one can make an argument. Maybe I want more stability in income, but it's a $700 unit. They have good credit. I'm moving forward with them. So that's that.
Kind of a softball, but there's property in Concord, a mutual friend of ours has.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you're able to like maximize rent on that property in particular with like 3 dogs? I think you got them above market rent.
Are you talking about Michael?
Yeah.
All right. So the question is about a client of mine and a friend of Jim's that has a rental property in Concord. So the rental property is rented for $1,000. What's your question about it?
I was say like explain how you're able to maximize rent in situations because market rent's probably $800, $900 a month there.
Well, the market rent was what I put it at, 1,000. But there was 3 pets in there, so I charged $90 a month for pet rent. So basically $1,100 a month. In property that's $1,100. So that's how, you know. I'm all about charging tenants. I'm just all about it. I got a 2-year lease and I got $90 a month in pet rent guaranteed for 2 years. So that's that.
Right. So for those of you that missed it, you charge per pet per month instead of just the pet deposit or just whatever.
Yep.
Because a lot of people just charge the pet deposit, but they don't actually increase the money. When that damn dog can cost you $30 a month, that's $360 a year.
Yeah, people don't understand the damage that 3 pets in a home can do. I mean, listen, I have 2 huskies. I get it. You know?
Well, I'm just saying, yeah. Tell the genius.
Well, like
that is genius. $1,070 a year because they have dogs.
Plus, if they have a well,
Plus deposit.
if the water is covered by the HOA, anything like that, I charge $50 a month for.
plus on that one, which you manage so many properties to remember, you also charge $900 non-refundable pet fee.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
top of the
I forgot to say that, yeah. So I charge $30.
and a 2-year lease.
So here's my pet fees, guys. For those that are still paying attention, $300 a month. I'm sorry, $300 non-refundable upfront, $30 per month. That's that. Question.
Do you have a limit amount-wise? And what about like Games, goats, chickens, and shit.
So the question is, do I have a weight limit on my pets? And also, do I allow, so I'm assuming the question about goats and shit like that is, do I charge a vet fee? So literally, if they have a guinea pig in the home, I'm charging a $30 a month pet fee. And a $300 non-refundable vet fee. My lease already says, there's no pet addendum, my lease already says that I can charge these.
What service animals?
You cannot charge on service animals.
So say you're gonna do the dog.
And that's what kind of bullshit.
Is there a penalty on the dog? So you're on 3 dogs.
Yeah.
You get $900, extra $30 a month. You have a pet.
No, it's already added to the lease. These are, yeah, I've added these to the lease. My pre-filled lease already says $30 a month per pet, $300 non-refundable, and it must be paid. It must be disclosed up front.
What do you do when you go and do a drive-by house inspection? You find out they got the extra dog or the extra
Charge them.
or whatever.
And that's the extra genius. I didn't even realize
Charge
that
them,
the first genius.
bitch.
You guys missed the first genius,
Yeah.
and there was a pilot lock. You didn't even realize that. But then he sat in his lease for a fucking pet. And you know pet people, they're never satisfied with 2 dogs. They gotta get the 3rd and 4th dog.
Yeah, so no pet limit. I have a 70-pound dog and a 50-pound dog.
That's awesome.
So I don't want to be like not be able to rent to me. You know what I mean? So I set criteria that would allow me to rent
So
for me.
any property allows pets, or is the owner specified?
Listen, I haven't heard. So the question is, does every property that I manage allow pets? Yes. Because if they don't, I don't think I'm as an owner. This is how devoted I am to my system. I mean, truly, if one thing does not go along with the system that I built, they can go find another property manager, and I'm fine with that. I want somebody that fits in my system, and my system is a very pet-friendly company. We all make a lot of money on pet rent.
Do you decipher between dogs and cats?
Nope, it's all the same. Dog's big, kitty big.
Iguana's $30 a month.
Huh?
Iguana.
Iguana's $30 a month, yeah.
Well,
How about an extra fit?
But you didn't get to this point with
what if I
letting
keep
iguanas live in the home for free?
What if I keep a dragon lizard in my pants and all that?
All right, let's get some real questions here. Yes, and then I'll get you. All right, you. So how do I handle utilities? Very simple question. So it depends. If it's a shared meter, so if water in the entire community is 1 meter and the property owner pays it, then I bill that to the tenants. Generally at $50 flat every month per tenant, and generally that is more than enough to cover the utility bill. If it's a situation where the tenant can get it in their name at the time of movement, that's the preferred method.
So even if it doesn't make it.
Oh, so if the property is vacant, it's in my name, and I'm billing it back to the property owner when it's vacant. That's part of the vacancy cost. Yes, sir.
My question is, I've heard that month-to-month is like easier to fix someone versus year.
All right, so the question is month-to-month leases easier to evict someone than year-to-year? The question is no, and the answer is no. It is a no. Month-to-month leases, yearly leases. The only thing that might vary is the notice required period that you're given, but honestly, no. Yeah, you know, it's the same.
The time frame doesn't change.
Yeah, it's the same song and dance if it's a month-to-month lease or a year-to-year lease. All right, anything else?
How are you dealing with the service animal issue going on?
Yeah.
Where they apply, they don't say they have an animal, they move in, and whatever, you know, multiple variables.
So the question is about service animals. What do? It's becoming a big problem, but if they submit certification, then I have to go with it. So that's the facts. If they submit certification, proper certification, then I have to go with it. I think that's it. I think I've lost the room. Good night, beautiful people.
But now the real meeting starts. So, I mean, according to you through this. Right?
First of all, tomorrow we should hear if we're going to phase 3 or if we're going to phase 2.
What?
Tomorrow we should hear if we're staying in phase 2.
We're staying in phase 2. Cooper's still governor, and he's going to fuck us as long as he can and as far as he can. Okay, just tell me. Tomorrow we tell you the answer. The answer is Cooper's going to keep doing its part. till 11 o'clock here. Take care of your servers. They're the ones putting their lives at risk. You guys don't matter too much. They deserve it. They keep working on them on limited sales, so you know. Increase the tips. Increase the tips for the tips.
Appreciate it.
Ryan Sensei. Pleasure to meet you. You've been in some emails. Yeah. Jim
Yeah.
and I are working with you on Highland.
Yeah.
Just wanted to introduce myself.
Good to meet you, man. I was wondering who Ryan was. I figured it was a partner.
Yeah, looking forward to working with you. I liked it. I like the rules. I
got a game plan that I'll be sending to you both sometime in the next couple days.
Yeah, and we owe you some answers. We're getting our
I'm excited to move on with that. Yeah, I reviewed the lease in full. Oh yeah, you do it for fun.
No, I mean, just your question about it. 2 years.
Yeah, so you can answer those. Thank you. I didn't even know where you were sitting.
No, it is. It's something we're kind of trying to play in the middle of this thing right now. I prefer to have
There's going to be change.
I'll hang out. Utility is like great after.
I think we don't know. That's why
You're late.
I don't know that
Coming out there cutting off, and then we'll put it back on.
Once you go over beans, which you did, and then if you was following utilities, yeah. Other than that,
You did the case back up, actually.
that was like that's how recently, like, since you opened the house, utilities coming yeah, man, of course.
I didn't say it because of my we're going to see a police shooting. Just like we did. Because you haven't seen a police shooting through these elections. It's always I know they just released the I know
Because of where you're at, they all know. How is it in summer? All of a sudden, everybody does They don't got it.
Where you at?
Right there.
To be fair, the field of view is so far back that you were in it, but you couldn't see a whole lot.
I realized it about halfway through. I'm like, crap, I better watch what I do and how I'm acting.
Trust me,
Like,
with
get on the
what was
video.
said in the middle on the mic, I think you're fine. I think you're good. You're
I
nothing to
gave
worry
a
about.
couple of flying birds a shot at one point.
It's fine. It's on YouTube. Nobody cares.